The champagne bottle popped in the next room, and I could hear my sister Jessica's laughter mixing with our parents' congratulations. She'd just received her acceptance letter to Johns Hopkins Medical School, her dream school, our father's alma mater. Meanwhile, I sat in my childhood bedroom, staring at my laptop screen in complete disbelief. Application status: withdrawn by APPICANT. Withdrawn? I hadn't withdrawn anything. My application to Johns Hopkins had been submitted 3 months ago, every document perfect, every essay polished until it shone. I'd spent 4 years preparing for this moment, maintaining a 4.0 GPA, scoring in the 99th percentile on the NCAT, volunteering at 3 different hospitals, conducting research that had been published in 2 peer-reviewed journals. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. DLETED your MEDC application. Now you see and compete with me. Guess you should have password protected your laptop better. Only room for one Dr. Morgan in this family. My hands shook as I read it again. Then again, my own sister had sabotaged my medical school application. The sister I tutored through organic chemistry? The one I'd shared all my NCAT study materials with. I was about to storm into the living room when my phone rang. The caller ID made my heart stop. Dr. James Thornton, Dean of Admissions, Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. Miss Morgan? His voice was serious, professional. Amelia Morgan. Yes, I whispered, racing for him to confirm my worst nightmare. That my application had been withdrawn, that my dreams were over. I'm calling about an extremely serious matter. Our portal tracking system flagged unusual activity on your application 20 minutes ago. Someone logged in from a different IP address and attempted to withdraw your application. Attempted? I breathed. Yes. Our new security system records everything. Keystrokes, screenshots, even webcam activation if permissions are enabled. We saw everything, Miss Morgan, including the text message your sister sent afterward, bragging about deleting your application. I sank onto my bed, phone pressed to my ear. You saw it? Every second. She used your saved password to access the portal from her laptop. We have video evidence of her deliberately withdrawing your application while laughing. We also have screenshots of her group chat where she's been planning this for weeks. The room spun. Weeks. Miss Morgan, I need to inform you of several things. First, your application was never actually withdrawn. Our system requires email confirmation for withdrawals, which your sister didn't complete. Second, based on your exceptional qualifications, you were already selected for admission with a full scholarship, the Harrison Merit Scholarship, which covers tuition, room, and board for all 4 years. Tears streamed down my face. You are. Congratulations, Dr. Morgan, or future Dr. Morgan. However, regarding your sister, his tone darkened. Jessica Morgan's acceptance to Johns Hopkins is hereby revoked. Furthermore, she will be reported to the American Association of Medical Colleges for attempted sabotage of another applicant. She will be blacklisted from every medical school in the United States. The champagne laughter from the living room suddenly sounded like a funeral dirge. Dr. Thornton, she's my sister, who tried to destroy your future out of petty jealousy. Miss Morgan, this isn't just about you. Someone capable of this level of deception and cruelty cannot be trusted with patients' lives. What would she do to a colleague who got a better residency? A nurse who questioned her judgment? Medicine requires integrity above all else. He was right. The realization hit me like a physical blow. Can you come to my office tomorrow morning? He continued. We need to formally document this incident and discuss your admission. Also, the FBI's Cybercrime Division may need to speak with you. Unauthorized access to educational portals is a federal offense. After I hung up, I sat in silence for a moment, listening to Jessica's celebration continuing in the next room. Then I walked to the living room, and stood in the doorway. The scene was perfect. Jessica in her designer dress, holding her acceptance letter. Mom and Dad beaming with pride, champagne glasses raised. Our extended family was there too. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all celebrating Jessica's achievement. Amelia, Mom called out. Come celebrate with your sister. She's going to be a doctor. No, I said quietly. She's not. The room went silent. Jessica's face shifted. A flicker of something. Fear? crossing her features before she forced a laugh. Someone's jealous. Sorry you didn't get in, Amy, but not everyone's meant for medical school. I held up my phone, Dr. Thornton's number still on the screen. That was the dean of admissions from Johns Hopkins. They saw everything, Jess. Every keystroke, every screenshot. The welcome footage of you deleting my application while laughing. The champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the hardwood floor. What are you talking about? Dad asked, but his eyes were moving between us, reading the situation. Jessica logged into my portal account and withdrew my medical school application. I said, my voice steadier now. She sent me this text bragging about it. I showed them the message. Mom gasped. Dad went pale. But here's the thing, I continued, looking directly at Jessica, whose face had gone from red to white. Johns Hopkins has a new security system. They record everything. They saw you do it. They have video evidence. That's impossible, Jessica stammered. Is it? They also have screenshots of your group chat. The one where you've been planning this for weeks. Where you said, and I quote, Amelia always gets everything. Not this time. I'll make sure of it. Our cousin Mark, a lawyer, stood up slowly. Jessica, if this is true, you've committed a federal crime. Computer fraud, identity theft. It was a jail key, Jessica exploded. I was going to tell her. I was going to fix it. When? I asked. After the withdrawal deadline. After all the spots were filled. After you'd secured your place at the school you knew we were both applying to. My phone rang again. I put it on speaker. Miss Morgan, this is Dr. Thornton again. I apologize for calling back so quickly, but I wanted you to know that we just sent an email to Jessica Morgan formally revoking her acceptance. She has also been reported to the AAMC. Additionally, our legal team will be pursuing charges for unauthorized access to university systems. Jessica let out a sound like a wounded animal. Furthermore, Dr. Thornton continued, I wanted to personally congratulate you again on your Harrison Scholarship. It's an honor given to only one student per year. Your research on pediatric oncology treatments was particularly impressive. The Harrison Scholarship, Dad whispered. That's the full ride. That's the one I applied for 30 years ago and didn't get. Thank you, Dr. Thornton, I managed to say. After I hung up, the room erupted. Mom was crying. Dad was yelling. Aunts and uncles were trying to understand what had happened. Jessica stood frozen in the center of it all, her acceptance letter, now worthless, crumpled in her fist. You've ruined my life, she screamed at me. No, I said firmly. You ruined your own life. I would have been happy to go to medical school with you. We could have supported each other, studied together, been the Morgan sisters taking on medicine together. But you couldn't stand the thought of me succeeding alongside you. You always have to be better. Jessica sobbed. Better grades, better scores, better everything. For once, I wanted something that was just mine. And you thought you'd get it by destroying me. Dad stepped between us. Jessica, how could you? Your own sister. She's not my sister. Jessica spat. She's my competition. You always loved her more. Why can't you be more like Amelia? Amelia got straight A's again. Amelia's so responsible. I'm sick of it. We never compared you, Mom said weakly, but even she didn't sound convinced. I looked around the room at my family, seeing them all clearly for perhaps the first time. How many times had they casually mentioned my achievements to Jessica? How many times had they held me up as the standard? I'd never asked for it, never wanted it, but I'd benefited from it nonetheless. Jess, I said softly, I'm sorry if I ever made you feel less than. I never meant to. But this, what you did, it's not about me being better. It's about you choosing to be worse. Her phone buzzed. She looked at it, and her face crumbled completely. The email, she whispered. My acceptance is revoked. They're recommending criminal prosecution. Mark, our cousin the lawyer, stepped forward. Jessica, you need to stop talking. Right now. Anything you say can be used against you. I'm calling you a criminal defense attorney. The party was over. Family members left quietly, embarrassed, unsure what to say. The champagne went flat. The congratulations banner looked like a mockery. That night, I found Jessica in her room, packing frantically. Where are you going? I asked from the doorway. Away, anywhere. I can't stay here. Everyone knows. It's all over social media. Someone leaked the story to a medical school forum. I'm trending on Twitter. Med school sister sabotage. My life is over. It doesn't have to be. Yes, it does. She whirled on me. Every medical school in the country knows what I did. I'll never be a doctor. 4 years of undergrad. All those NCAT hours, all of it for nothing. Because of 20 seconds of stupidity. 20 seconds, you planned this for weeks. She collapsed on her bed. I know, God, I know. When I got my acceptance letter, all I could think about was that you probably gotten one too. That even this wouldn't be special, wouldn't be mine. And I snapped. You need help, Jess. This level of jealousy, of resentment, it's not normal. You think I don't know that? She laughed bitterly. The dean was right. What kind of doctor would I have been? If I could do this to my own sister, what would I do to a rival resident, a nurse who shoved me up? We sat in silence for a moment. What are you going to do? I finally asked. I don't know. Maybe teach, maybe research, something that doesn't require an MD, something where the A&C blacklist doesn't matter. She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Will you ever forgive me? I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe someday. But trust? That's gone forever. The next morning, I drove to Johns Hopkins to meet with Dr. Thornton. The campus was beautiful, everything I dreamed of. In his office, surrounded by medical texts and framed degrees, he handed me my official acceptance packet. Miss Morgan, I want you to know that you earned this entirely on merit. Your sister's actions, terrible as they were, have no bearing on our decision. You're going to make an exceptional physician. Thank you, I said, holding the packet like it was made of gold. I'd also wanted you to know, he continued, that we've implemented new security measures based on this incident. No student will ever have to go through what you did. Your sister's crime might have one positive outcome, protecting future applicants. As I left his office, my phone buzzed with a notification. Someone had tagged me in a post on the pre-med forum. Amelia Morgan. The girl whose sister tried to steal her future but ended up destroying her own. Remember, folks, integrity matters more than acceptance letters. The comments were pouring in. Support from fellow pre-meds, horror stories of similar sabotage attempts. Congratulations on my acceptance and scholarship. But one comment stood out from a username I recognized as Jessica's old study group friend. I knew Jessica was competitive, but this is next level. Amelia, if you're reading this, we all knew you were the better student. Jessica knew it too. That's why she did what she did. Congratulations on Johns Hopkins. You deserve it. 6 months later, I started medical school. The orientation week was everything I dreamed of and more. My white coat ceremony was bittersweet. My parents came, but the shadow of Jessica's absence hung over us all. She'd moved to Portland, taking a job as a laboratory technician. We hadn't spoken since that night in her room. During my second week, Dr. Thornton pulled me aside after a lecture. There's something you should know, he said quietly. We've had 17 cases of application sabotage reported since your story went public. 17 students who came forward because they saw what happened to you and realized they weren't alone. You've helped more people than you know. I thought about those 17 students, their dreams almost destroyed by jealousy and malice. Then I thought about Jessica, brilliant in her own right, who'd thrown away everything for a moment of vindictive satisfaction. Dr. Thornton, I said, would it be possible to start a support group? For students who've experienced sabotage, academic fraud, family betrayal, I think we need to talk about the pressure, the competition, the way it breaks relationships. He smiled. That's exactly the kind of thinking we need in medicine. Healing more than just physical wounds. Yes, Miss Morgan. Set it up. The school will support it fully. Today, 3 years into my medical education, I run that support group. We meet weekly, sharing stories of betrayal and recovery, of dreams deferred but not destroyed. And sometimes, late at night in the library, I think about Jessica. I wonder if she's found peace, if she's forgiven herself, if she's built a new dream from the ashes of the old one. She sent me a letter last month. I haven't opened it yet. Maybe I will when I graduate. Maybe I'll wait until I'm truly Dr. Morgan, the title she wanted so desperately that she was willing to destroy me for it. Or maybe I'll never open it at all. Some wounds heal, some leave scars, and some teach us that the people we trust most can hurt us worst. But they can't stop us from becoming who we're meant to be. The dean was right about one thing. Medicine requires integrity above all else. Jessica forgot that. I never will.
The notification sound on my phone should have been my first warning. Family group chats never bring good news. My name is Eleanor, and I've learned to read between the lines of my family's messages like a forensic analyst. 20 years of practice will do that to you. Can't wait for little Emma's baptism next Sunday. So excited to celebrate with everyone who matters. Valeria's message sat there on my screen, complete with enough emojis to stock a gift shop. I scrolled up through the thread looking for my invitation, looking for any mention of me at all. Nothing. The follow-up messages rolled in like dominoes falling. Aunt Michelle confirming she'd bring the potato salad. Cousin Cadence asking about parking. My brother Hayden sending a photo of the tiny white dress they'd picked out. I kept scrolling, kept looking for my name, still nothing. Eleanor? My assistant knocked on my office door. The Morrison family is here for their intake appointment. Give me 2 minutes, I called back, setting my phone face down on my desk. The Morrison family was adopting their first foster child after 3 years of trying. I couldn't let them see me like this, not when they needed to believe in happy endings. But my phone buzzed again. Another message in the group chat. Hayden, make sure you get photos by Grandma's rose bush. The white flowers will look perfect with Emma's dress. Grandma's rose bush. The one I'd helped plant when I was 12. The one I'd watered every summer until I moved out. The one that grew in the garden of the house that... My phone buzzed with a different notification. An email from the adoption agency. Congratulations! The adoption of Kira, Shiloh and Zella has been finalised. You are now their legal mother. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. 3 little girls who'd been bounced between homes for 2 years. 3 sisters who'd never been separated, never been adopted together, never been wanted as a package deal. Until now. Eleanor? My assistant's voice was gentler this time. Should I reschedule the Morrisons? No. I stood up, smoothing my blazer. Send them in. The Morrisons were nervous, clutching each other's hands like teenagers on a first date. Mrs. Morrison had been following my foundation's work for months, reading every article about successful foster adoptions, memorizing statistics about sibling placements. We know it's not going to be easy, Mr. Morrison said, but we're ready. We've been ready for so long. I nodded, pulling their file from my desk drawer. Tell me about your support system. Family, friends, people who'll be there when things get difficult. They lit up talking about their parents, their siblings, the church community that had already started planning welcome parties and setting up play dates. Family is everything, Mrs. Morrison said. We can't wait for Tyler to have cousins to play with, grandparents to spoil him, aunts and uncles who'll love him unconditionally. Unconditionally. The word sat in my chest like a stone. After they left, I picked up my phone again. The group chat had exploded with more messages, photos of the church, discussion of who was bringing what to the reception, excitement about Emma's first big family celebration. I scrolled back through months of messages, birthday parties I wasn't invited to, holiday gatherings I learned about through social media, family dinners that happened without me. Elena's too busy with work anyway. She wouldn't be interested in kid stuff. You know how she is about children. How I am about children. As if choosing not to have biological children meant I hated them. As if running a foundation that had placed over 300 kids in loving homes meant nothing. As if the cribs I'd bought, the emergency babysitting I'd provided, the college funds I'd quietly started for my nieces and nephews were invisible. My phone rang. Cadence's name flashed on the screen. Hey, she said when I answered. I saw the group chat. I'm sure it was just an oversight. Was it? Silence stretched between us. Cadence had been my closest cousin growing up. We'd shared secrets and sleepovers and dreams about our futures. Now she was married with twins, firmly planted in the inner circle I'd never quite managed to join. Valeria thought you might feel uncomfortable. You know, with all the baby talk and mum stuff. Uncomfortable. Elena, you know I love you, but you have to admit you've never been super interested in family events. And with Emma being so little and all the chaos with kids running around, I hung up. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up a folder I'd labelled property. Inside were legal documents I'd been avoiding for 3 years. Documents that proved exactly who owned the house where Emma's baptism reception would be held. Documents that proved I'd been underestimated for the very last time. The Sunshine Group. Home sat on a quiet street lined with oak trees, looking exactly like what it was, a temporary stop for kids who'd run out of other options. I'd visited dozens of these places over the years, but walking up to this particular front door felt different. "Ms. Elena," Shiloh burst through the screen door before I could knock, her 8-year-old arms wrapping around my waist. "Mrs. Patricia said you were coming today." Behind her, Kira leaned against the doorframe with practiced teenage indifference. At 13, she'd perfected the art of looking like she didn't care about anything. But I caught the way her eyes tracked my movements, cataloguing every detail. "Where's Zella?" I asked, crouching down to Shiloh's level. "Reading corner. She's always in the reading corner." Kira pushed off the doorframe. "You really going through with this? Taking all 3 of us?" "That's the plan. Plans change." Her voice carried the weight of too many broken promises. "Adults say lots of things." Mrs. Patricia appeared in the hallway, a woman in her 60s who'd been running group homes longer than I'd been alive. "Girls, why don't you show Eleanor your room while I finish the paperwork?" The bedroom held 4 bunk beds crammed together like a military barracks. Shiloh bounced onto the bottom bunk, patting a faded quilt. "This is mine, and that's Kira's up there, and Zella's is over by the window because she likes to look at the trees." I found Zella exactly where Shiloh had said, curled up in a corner with a picture book, her dark hair falling like a curtain around her face. She was 6 but seemed smaller, the kind of quiet that came from learning early that taking up space could be dangerous. "What are you reading?" I asked, settling cross-legged on the floor beside her. She held up the book without looking at me. "The Giving Tree." "That's a good one. Sad, though." "All the good books are sad." She finally looked up, studying my face with serious brown eyes. "Are you really our mum now?" The question hit me harder than I'd expected. Legally, yes, but being someone's mum is more than paperwork. It's something you have to choose every day. "What if you stop choosing?" Before I could answer, Kira dropped down from her bunk. "Zella, don't get attached. Remember what happened with the Hendersons?" "The Hendersons changed their minds," Shiloh said quietly. "They said 3 kids was too many after all." I looked between the 3 of them, Kira with her armour of sarcasm, Shiloh with her desperate optimism, Zella with her careful distance. They were protecting themselves the only way they knew how. "I'm not the Hendersons," I said, "and I didn't make this decision lightly. I've been thinking about it for 2 years." "Why us?" Kira crossed her arms. "You could have any kid you wanted, babies even. People love babies." "I don't want babies. I want you 3. "Why?" I stood up, brushing dust off my jeans. "Because I know what it's like to be bounced around, to have people look at you like you're damaged goods, to feel like nobody really wants you, they just feel sorry for you." The room went quiet. Even Shiloh stopped swinging her legs. "My parents died when I was 7, I continued. "Car accident. I went to live with my grandmother, but when she died, I was 15 and back in the system. 3 different homes in 2 years. Each one had a reason why I didn't quite fit." "What happened when you aged out?" Kira's voice was softer now. "I got a job, put myself through college, built a life. But I never forgot what it felt like to be temporary, to always have one foot out the door." Zella closed her book. Is that why you help kids like us? That's exactly why. Mrs. Patricia appeared in the doorway. Elena, could I speak with you privately? We walked to her office, past walls covered with photos of successful placements, kids in graduation gowns, wedding dresses, holding babies of their own. I have to ask, Mrs. Patricia said, closing the door behind us. This timing seems sudden. Your application was approved months ago, but you've been hesitant to move forward. What changed? I thought about the group chat, about Emma's baptism, about 20 years of being treated like I was missing some essential part of what made a woman complete. I realized I was ready to stop waiting for permission to live my life. Mrs. Patricia nodded slowly. These girls have been through a lot. Kira especially has trust issues. She's been the protector for so long, she doesn't know how to just be a kid. I'm not expecting this to be easy. Good, because it won't be. She handed me a manila folder thick with documents. But I think you might be exactly what they need. Someone who understands what it's like to feel invisible. Back in the bedroom, the girls were whispering among themselves. They stopped when they saw me. So, I said, who wants to help me figure out how to fit 3 beds in my guest room? Shiloh's face lit up. We get our own beds. You get your own beds, your own dressers, and your own space. No more sharing everything with 20 other kids. Kira studied me for a long moment. What's the catch? No catch, just rules. Homework gets done, chores get divided fairly, and we talk about problems instead of running away from them. And if we mess up, then we figure out how to fix it together. For the first time since I'd arrived, Kira almost smiled. Okay, but I'm not calling you Mum until you prove you're staying. Fair enough. As we walked out of the group home an hour later, Zella slipped her small hand into mine. Eleanor? Yeah? Thank you for choosing us. I squeezed her hand gently. Thank you for letting me. The baptism photos started appearing on my social media feed Sunday evening, one after another, like a perfectly orchestrated campaign. Emma in her white dress surrounded by family, Hayden beaming as he held his daughter, Valeria glowing in her role as the perfect mother. And there it was, the shot by Grandma's rosebush, exactly as planned. The white flowers framed Emma's tiny face like a halo, while 3 generations of my family smiled for the camera. I was setting up the girls' new beds when my phone started buzzing with notifications. Facebook tags, Instagram stories, comments flowing like water. Such a beautiful family. Emma is so blessed to have such loving relatives. Nothing better than a big family celebration. Elena? Shiloh appeared in the doorway, holding a stack of folded sheets. You okay? You look mad. I'm fine. I took the sheets from her, focusing on tucking the corners just right. How are you feeling about starting school tomorrow? Nervous? What if the other kids ask about you, about why we live with you now? You tell them the truth, that you have a mum who wanted you exactly as you are. Kira poked her head around the corner. Mum, huh? Thought I wasn't calling you that yet. You're not, but Shiloh can call me whatever feels right to her. My phone buzzed again. Another photo, this one of the reception in Grandma's backyard. I could see the vegetable garden I'd helped plant, the swing set I'd assembled for my nephew's birthday, the patio stones I'd paid to have installed. Who keeps texting you? Zella climbed onto her new bed, bouncing slightly to test the mattress. Nobody important? I turned my phone face down. Let's focus on getting you settled. But the photos kept coming. Extended family I hadn't seen in months, all gathered together in the house where I'd grown up. The house where Grandma had taught me to cook, where I'd done homework at the kitchen table, where I'd cried the night before moving out at 18. The house that legally belonged to me. After the girls were asleep, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee and opened my laptop. The property documents were exactly where I'd left them, in a folder I'd been avoiding for 3 years. Grandma's will was crystal clear. The house at 847 Maple Street, along with all contents and property, was left solely to Eleanor Marie, not to be shared, not to be divided, not to be sold without Elena's express written consent. Hayden had moved in after Grandma died, claiming he needed to take care of the place. Valeria had redecorated, painting over Grandma's careful wallpaper choices and replacing her furniture with modern pieces. They'd made it their home, raised their children there, hosted family gatherings like they owned it, because everyone had forgotten, or chosen to forget, that they didn't. I picked up my phone and dialed my lawyer's number. "Elena." David's voice was groggy. "It's almost midnight. I need you to prepare an eviction notice." Silence. Then, "Are we talking about the Maple Street property?" "We are." "Eleanor, we've discussed this. Evicting family members is complicated, especially when—" "When what? When they've been living there rent-free for 3 years? When they've excluded me from family events held in my own house? When they treat me like I don't exist?" "What happened?" I told him about the baptism, about the photos, about 20 years of being treated like the family charity case. David listened without interrupting. "You're sure about this?" he asked when I finished. "Once we start this process, there's no going back. Your relationship with your brother." "What relationship? The one where he takes my generosity for granted and pretends I don't exist?" "Fair point. I'll have the papers ready by tomorrow afternoon. Make it 2 notices, one for eviction, one for my intent to sell." "Elena, they want to pretend I'm not family? Fine, they can find somewhere else to play house." After I hung up, I walked through my new house checking on the girls. Shiloh had kicked off her covers and was sprawled across her bed like a starfish. Kira slept curled in a tight ball, even in sleep protecting herself. Zella had arranged her few stuffed animals in a perfect line along the wall, a barrier between herself and the world. 3 little girls who'd been rejected, overlooked, deemed too difficult or too much trouble. 3 sisters who'd learned not to trust promises or believe in happy endings, just like I had. My phone lit up with another notification. Cadence had posted a video from the reception. Family members laughing and dancing in Grandma's living room, Emma being passed from relative to relative like a precious gift. I watched the whole thing, every smile, every hug, every moment of joy that had happened in my house without me. Then I opened my contacts and scrolled to David's number. "One more thing," I texted. "Make sure the eviction notice is hand-delivered. I want them to sign for it." His response came back immediately. "Are you sure you want to do this?" I looked around at my new life, at the girls sleeping safely in their beds, at the family photos I'd never been included in, at the future I was finally brave enough to claim. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The moving truck arrived at 7 in the morning, 3 days after David hand-delivered the eviction notices. I'd hired the crew to move the girls' belongings from the group home to our new house, a 4-bedroom colonial I'd bought 6 months ago, but never had the courage to fully occupy. "This is really happening," Shiloh said, bouncing on her toes as movers carried boxes labelled "Girls' Room" up the front steps. "It's really happening." I signed the clipboard the crew chief handed me. "You 3 are officially home." Kira stood on the sidewalk with her arms crossed, watching everything with suspicious eyes. "What's in all those other boxes?" "Stuff from my apartment. I've been living in a 1-bedroom for 5 years, waiting for the right time to move into this place." "Why now?" Before I could answer, my phone rang. Hayden's name flashed on the screen. "You need to take this," Kira said. "We can hear it ringing." I declined the call. It immediately rang again. "Eleanor, just answer it," Zella said quietly. "Maybe it's important." On the 4th call, I picked up. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Hayden's voice was loud enough that all 3 girls could hear. "Eviction papers? Really? This is how you handle family problems? Lower your voice. I have children present. Children? Since when do you— He stopped. Wait, are you serious? You actually went through with the adoption? I did. Jesus, Elena, this is insane. You can't just kick us out of our home because you're having some kind of midlife crisis. Kira stepped closer, her face hard. Is he talking about you like that? I put the phone on speaker. Hayden, you're on speakerphone. My daughters can hear you. Your daughters? His laugh was bitter. Come on, you adopted some random kids to prove a point, to make us feel guilty about the baptism thing. The words hit like a slap. Kira's mouth fell open. Shiloh took a step back. Zella's face crumpled. That's enough. My voice was ice cold. No, it's not enough. You want to destroy our family because your feelings got hurt, because Valeria thought you might be uncomfortable at a baby's baptism. Grow up, Elena. I said that's enough. We're not moving. You can't make us. Grandma left that house to the family, not just to you. I hung up and immediately turned to the girls. Kira was staring at me with something that looked like betrayal. Is that true? She asked. Did you adopt us to prove a point? No. Because it sounds like— Kira, look at me. I knelt down so we were eye level. I started the adoption process 2 years ago. 2 years. Long before any baptism, long before any family drama. I adopted you because I wanted you. All 3 of you. But the timing is because I finally stopped waiting for other people's permission to live my life. Shiloh wiped her nose with the back of her hand. He called us random kids. He doesn't know you. If he did, he'd know there's nothing random about you. You're brilliant and kind and exactly who I hoped you'd be. What if he's right, though? Kira's voice was small now, all her teenage armour stripped away. What if you just wanted to stick it to your family and we're just— props? The question gutted me. I looked at these 3 girls, Kira with her fierce protectiveness, Shiloh with her boundless optimism, Zella with her quiet wisdom, and realised how badly I'd screwed this up. You want the truth? The whole truth? They nodded. My family has treated me like I don't matter for years, like I'm broken because I don't have children, like I'm selfish because I chose my career over motherhood, and yes, I'm angry about it. Kira's face hardened again. But, I continued, I didn't adopt you because I was angry. I adopted you because every time I visited you at the group home, I saw myself, 3 kids who deserved better than being treated like they were too much trouble. 3 kids who needed someone to choose them, not settle for them. How do we know you won't change your mind? Zella's voice was barely a whisper. Because I've been preparing for you for 2 years. This house. I bought it for you. The bedrooms upstairs? I painted them 6 months ago, hoping someday I'd have daughters to put in them. The swing set in the backyard? I installed it last spring, imagining kids who might actually use it. Shiloh looked toward the backyard. There's a swing set. There's a swing set, a sandbox, and a vegetable garden we can plant together if you want. What about your brother? Kira asked. What about your family? I stood up, brushing dirt off my knees. What about them? They're going to hate you. They already act like I don't exist. At least now I have you 3. The movers finished unloading the truck as we talked, box after box of a new life, stacked in the hallway of a house that was finally ready to be a home. So what happens now? Shiloh asked. Now, we unpack. We figure out where everything goes. We make dinner together and argue about what to watch on TV. We do all the normal, boring, wonderful things that families do. And your brother? My brother can figure out his own life. I'm done managing everyone else's feelings. Kira studied my face for a long moment. Okay, but I'm still not calling you Mom yet. I know. And if you change your mind about us, I won't. But if you do, I'm taking Shiloh and Zella with me. We stick together." "Good. That's exactly what big sisters should do." For the first time since the phone call, Kira almost smiled. "All right then, let's go see this swing set." Aunt Michelle burst through my office door without knocking, her face red and her hands shaking. My assistant tried to follow her in, mouthing "I'm sorry" over Michelle's shoulder. "It's fine, Sarah. Close the door behind you." Michelle didn't wait for pleasantries. "How could you do this to that baby? To Emma? She's innocent in all of this." I leaned back in my chair, keeping my voice level. "What exactly am I doing to Emma? Don't play dumb with me, Elena, kicking them out of their home, forcing them to uproot that child, all because your feelings got hurt over a baptism invitation." "Their home?" "Yes, their home, the place where Emma took her first steps, where she's learning to walk, where all her memories are being made." I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a manila folder. "Michelle, do you know what this is?" "I don't care what." "It's Grandma's will, the original notarized copy." I opened it and turned it toward her. "Would you like me to read the relevant section?" Michelle's mouth snapped shut. "I leave the property at 847 Maple Street, including all buildings, land and contents therein, to my granddaughter Eleanor Marie, to be hers in perpetuity. This bequest is made with the understanding that Elena has been the most faithful in caring for me in my final years, and has shown the greatest responsibility in managing her own affairs." That doesn't mean there's more. Should any family member contest this decision, they should know it was made with full consideration of each person's character and choices. Elena has earned this inheritance through her devotion, not her birth order. Michelle sank into the chair across from my desk. "Hayden said Grandma wanted the house to stay in the family." "It is staying in the family, my family, the family I'm building with my daughters." "Your daughters?" Michelle's voice cracked. "Eleanor, honey, I know you're trying to prove something, but adopting children just to spite us—" "Stop!" I stood up, my patience finally snapping. "Stop right there. I'm just saying that children aren't weapons." "You're right, they're not. Which is why I've spent the last 5 years building a foundation that has placed over 300 children in loving homes. Which is why I've donated thousands of dollars to family members who needed help with their kids. Which is why I've babysat, bought cribs, paid for birthday parties, and shown up for every single milestone I was invited to." Michelle looked uncomfortable. "We appreciate everything you've done. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've taken my help for granted while treating me like a charity case. Poor Eleanor, so sad and lonely without children of her own. That's not—" "When was the last time you invited me to a family dinner, Michelle? When was the last time anyone asked how I was doing, what was happening in my life, whether I needed anything?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. "I'll tell you when. Never. Because I'm the childless one, remember? The one who doesn't understand family, the one who's too selfish to know what real love is." "Eleanor, you're being dramatic." "Am I?" I pulled out my phone and scrolled to the baptism photos. "Look at these pictures, Michelle. Look at them and tell me you don't see what's missing." She glanced at the screen reluctantly. "I helped plant that garden. I paid for those patio stones. I bought the swing set in the background. But I'm not in a single photo because I wasn't invited to my own niece's baptism." "Valeria thought you might be uncomfortable." Valeria thought I might be uncomfortable, or Valeria was uncomfortable having the childless aunt around to remind everyone that not all women follow the same path? Michelle's face flushed. "That's not fair." "You want to know what's not fair? Having my own family treat me like I'm broken. Having my generosity taken for granted. Having my brother live rent-free in my house while excluding me from family events held in my own backyard." "He didn't know you owned the house." I laughed, but there was no humour in it. "He didn't know. Michelle, I've been paying the property taxes for 3 years. The insurance is in my name. The utilities are in my name. How exactly did he think that was happening? She was quiet for a long moment. Maybe he thought, maybe we all thought Grandma left it to both of you. Even if she had, which she didn't, wouldn't basic courtesy suggest checking with me before redecorating, before hosting family parties, before making major decisions about a property I might have legal interest in? We should have asked. Yes, you should have, but you didn't, because asking would have meant acknowledging that I matter, that I'm not just the spinster aunt who exists to provide free labour and financial support. Michelle wiped her eyes. What do you want from us, Elena? How do we fix this? You don't. It's too late for that. But Emma will be fine. Children are resilient, they adapt. And maybe growing up somewhere other than the house I'm paying for will teach her that actions have consequences. You're really going through with the sale. I am, even though it means Emma loses her home. I leaned forward, my voice deadly quiet. Emma is 8 months old, Michelle. She won't remember this house, but I'll remember being excluded from her baptism for the rest of my life. Michelle stood up slowly. I never realized you felt so invisible. That's the problem. None of you realized, and now it's too late to pretend you care. She walked to the door, then turned back. For what it's worth, I think you'll be a good mother to those girls. Thank you? But Elena, this revenge, it's going to cost you more than just the house. I know. After she left, I sat alone in my office, staring at Grandma's will. The words blurred as I read them again, her careful handwriting spelling out exactly what she thought of each of us. My phone buzzed with a text from Kira. Zella learned to ride her bike today. She wanted to call and tell you. I smiled for the first time all day. Tell her I'll be home in an hour to see her ride it. She's going to make you watch her do it 50 times. Good, I've got 50 times to give. Some things, I thought, were worth the cost. The bonfire in our backyard crackled as I fed it another photo album. Kira sat beside me on the patio steps, watching family memories turn to ash. That seems kind of extreme, she said, as a picture of my high school graduation curled and blackened. Maybe, but I'm tired of holding on to things that only remind me of how little I mattered. Shiloh ran up from the swing set, her cheeks flushed from playing. What are we burning? The past, I said, tossing in a framed photo of last year's family Christmas, the one where I'd been cropped out of the group shot. Can we roast marshmallows? Zella appeared with a bag of marshmallows and a hopeful expression. Absolutely. As the girls skewered marshmallows, I continued feeding the fire. Photo albums, greeting cards, family heirlooms I'd inherited from Grandma, everything except one small framed picture of her and me planting the rosebush. Elena? Cadence's voice came from the side gate. Can I come in? The girls looked at me questioningly. I nodded. Cadence walked over slowly, taking in the scene. Having a bonfire? Something like that. She sat down on the other side of Kira, who immediately scooted closer to me. I heard about Michelle's visit to your office. News travels fast. She's pretty shaken up. We all are. I pulled another photo from the box. The whole family at Hayden's wedding, me standing awkwardly at the edge like an afterthought. Into the fire it went. Elena, I need to tell you something about the house. Kira's marshmallow caught fire. She blew it out and examined the charred result with satisfaction. What about it? Hayden, he used your inheritance. The money from Grandma's savings account that was supposed to go to you, he used it to pay off his business debts 2 years ago. I stopped reaching for the next photo. What? Michelle knew. We all knew. He said you'd never find out because you never asked about the money, and he'd pay it back before you needed it. How much? $47,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. $47,000. money Grandma had specifically left to me, money I'd never even known existed. He spent my inheritance and then lived rent-free in my house for 3 years. Eleanor, he stole from me, Cadence. He literally stole my inheritance and then had the nerve to act like I was being unreasonable for wanting my own property back. Zella looked up from her marshmallow. Someone stole from you. It's complicated, sweetheart. No, it's not, Kira said flatly. Someone took something that belonged to you without asking. That's stealing. Cadence shifted uncomfortably. It wasn't supposed to be permanent. He was going to pay it back. When? After he finished redecorating my house with my money. I know how it sounds. It sounds like my entire family conspired to rob me and then gaslight me into thinking I was the problem. Shiloh pulled her marshmallow out of the fire, perfectly golden. Want to try mine? I made it just right. I took the marshmallow and bit into it, the sweetness a sharp contrast to the bitterness in my chest. It's perfect, baby. Are you okay? You look sad. I'm processing some grown-up stuff, but I'm okay. Cadence cleared her throat. There's something else. Hayden's planning to contest the sale. He's hired a lawyer. Good luck to him. Eleanor, he's claiming undue influence, that Grandma wasn't in her right mind when she made the will. I laughed, but it came out harsh. Grandma was sharper at 85 than most people are at 50. She knew exactly what she was doing. He's also saying you manipulated her, that you isolated her from the rest of the family to secure the inheritance. I visited her every Sunday for 5 years. Where was everyone else? We were busy with your real families, with your children, with your lives that actually mattered. Cadence flinched. That's not how we saw it. That's exactly how you saw it. Poor Eleanor, so desperate for family that she'll take care of the old lady. Let her do it. She has nothing else going on. That's not true. Isn't it? I stood up, brushing ash off my jeans. Tell me, Cadence, when was the last time you called me just to talk? Not because you needed something, not because there was family drama, just because you wanted to hear my voice. She was quiet. That's what I thought. Zella tugged on my shirt. Eleanor, can we make s'mores now? Of course. I knelt down and helped her sandwich her marshmallow between graham crackers and chocolate. There you go. This is the best s'more ever, she announced, taking a huge bite. Everything tastes better when you make it yourself, I said, looking directly at Cadence. Eleanor, please, don't let this destroy our family. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just finally seeing it clearly. What about forgiveness? What about second chances? What about $47,000? What about 3 years of free rent? What about being excluded from my own niece's baptism? Cadence stood up. I came here to apologize, to try to make things right. Some things can't be made right, Cadence. Some things just have to end. After she left, the girls and I finished our s'mores in comfortable silence. The fire had burned down to glowing embers, and the last of my family photos had turned to ash. Elena? Shiloh curled up against my side. Are you sad about burning all those pictures? No, sweetheart, I'm not sad. What are you? I looked around at my daughters, Kira with chocolate on her chin, Zella carefully saving half her s'more for later, Shiloh warm and trusting against my side. I'm free. That night, after the girls were asleep, I sat at my kitchen table and wrote 3 checks, 1 to the local foster youth shelter, 1 to the children's hospital, and 1 to the scholarship fund I'd established in Grandma's name. $47,000, divided equally among organizations that actually helped children. If Hayden wanted to steal my inheritance, fine. But he wasn't going to profit from it. Some revenge, I was learning, was best served with a side of generosity. The courthouse steps were slick with morning dew as I climbed them with David, my lawyer. Inside my purse, I had 3 years' worth of evidence, property tax receipts, insurance payments, utility bills, bank statements showing every dollar I'd spent maintaining the house Hayden claimed was rightfully his. "Remember," David said as we approached the entrance, "let me do the talking. Answer questions directly, don't elaborate, and whatever you do, don't let them bait you into losing your temper." "I won't." "Elena, I mean it. Your brother's lawyer is going to try to paint you as vindictive and manipulative. Stay calm." Inside the courtroom, Hayden sat at the plaintiff's table with his attorney, a sharp-dressed woman who looked like she charged by the minute. Behind them, Michelle, Valeria, and several other family members filled the gallery like a jury of my peers. None of them looked at me as I took my seat. "All rise for the Honourable Judge Martinez." The hearing began with Hayden's lawyer presenting their case. She painted a picture of a lonely, bitter woman who had manipulated an elderly grandmother into leaving her valuable property to the wrong grandchild. "Your Honour," she said, "the defendant isolated Mrs. Louisa from her family, creating a dependency that she then exploited for financial gain. The plaintiff and his family have lived in this home for 3 years, making improvements, raising children, creating memories. To force them out now would be unconscionable." When it was David's turn, he stood with a thick folder of documents. "Your Honour, we have here 3 years of financial records showing that Ms. Eleanor has been solely responsible for all expenses related to this property: property taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, every single bill paid by the defendant, not the plaintiff." He handed copies to the judge and opposing counsel. "Furthermore, we have documentation showing that the plaintiff used funds from the deceased's estate, funds specifically bequeathed to Ms. Elena, to pay personal business debts without her knowledge or consent." Hayden's lawyer objected, but David continued. "We also have correspondence from Mrs. Louisa explaining her decision to leave the property to Ms. Elena, including this handwritten letter dated 6 months before her death." The judge examined the letter carefully. "Ms. Elena, please approach the witness stand." I walked to the front of the courtroom, hyper-aware of every eye on me. After being sworn in, Hayden's lawyer immediately went on the attack. "Ms. Elena, isn't it true that you deliberately isolated your grandmother from other family members?" "No, I visited her every Sunday because I wanted to spend time with her." "And during these visits, did you discuss her will?" "She mentioned it once. She said she was leaving the house to me because I was the only one who consistently showed up." "Consistently showed up? Are you implying other family members didn't care about Mrs. Louisa?" "I'm stating that I was the only one who visited regularly." "But you never encouraged other family members to visit." David stood. "Objection, Your Honour. The witness isn't responsible for other adults' choices." "Sustained." Hayden's lawyer tried a different approach. "Ms. Elena, you recently adopted 3 children. Isn't it true that this adoption was motivated by your desire to hurt your family?" The question hit like a slap. In the gallery, I could see Michelle leaning forward. "No, I began the adoption process 2 years ago, long before any family conflict." "But the timing of finalizing the adoption right before evicting your brother, surely that's not coincidental." "The timing was based on when the state approved my application and when the children needed a permanent home." "So you're saying your decision to evict your brother had nothing to do with wanting to make room for your new family?" I looked directly at Hayden for the first time since entering the courtroom. "My decision to evict my brother was based on his failure to pay rent, his use of my inheritance without permission, and his family's decision to exclude me from events held in my own home." "You're talking about a baptism invitation?" "I'm talking about 3 years of being treated like I don't exist while subsidizing their lifestyle." "Your Honour," Hayden's lawyer said, "this clearly demonstrates the vindictive nature." "Objection," David interrupted. "The witness is answering the question asked." "Sustained. Continue, Miss Elena." I took a breath. I loved my grandmother. I took care of her because she was important to me, not because I wanted her house, but she left it to me, and I have every right to decide who lives there. When David cross-examined me, he kept it simple. Miss Elena, how much money have you spent maintaining this property over the past 3 years? Approximately $18,000. And how much rent has your brother paid? $0. Did you know about the $47,000 he took from your inheritance? I found out last week. What did you do with that information? I donated an equivalent amount to children's charities. A murmur went through the gallery. Even the judge looked surprised. You donated $47,000? Yes, Your Honour. If my brother wanted to steal my inheritance, I decided he shouldn't profit from it. After closing arguments, the judge retired to consider her decision. 20 minutes later, she returned. This case comes down to a simple matter of property rights. The will is clear, the documentation is thorough, and the defendant has demonstrated continuous financial responsibility for the property in question. The plaintiff's claim of undue influence is not supported by the evidence. She looked directly at Hayden. Mr. Hayden, you have 30 days to vacate the premises. The defendant's right to sell the property is upheld. Outside the courthouse, Hayden caught up with me on the steps. Eleanor, please. We can work this out. We're family. I stopped walking. Family doesn't steal from each other, Hayden. Family doesn't exclude each other from baptisms. Family doesn't take 3 years of free housing and then claim they're the victims. I was going to pay you back. When? After you finished spending money that was never yours? He looked desperate. What about Emma? What about my kids? What about them? They'll adapt. Children are resilient, remember? That's what everyone always says about foster kids. I pulled out my phone and opened Instagram. With Hayden watching, I posted a photo from that morning, me and the girls in front of the courthouse, all of us smiling. The caption read, "Guess I'm not childless after all." Justice to your family, very new beginnings. Hayden's face went white as he read it. Eleanor, now you know what being invisible feels like. I walked away without looking back, leaving him standing alone on the courthouse steps while my real family waited for me in the car. The spring air carried the scent of fresh mulch as I knelt in our backyard garden, helping Zella plant a new rose bush. Her small hands carefully patted soil around the roots while Kira and Shiloh argued over which vegetables to plant in the raised beds we'd built together. Will it bloom this year? Zella asked, brushing dirt off her fingers. Maybe a few flowers, but next spring it'll be covered in roses. What colour? Pink, your favourite. She smiled, the kind of uninhibited joy I'd never seen during those first weeks at the group home. Can we plant one for Kira and Shiloh too? We can plant whatever you want. This is our garden now. Elena, Shiloh called from across the yard. There are people by the fence. I looked up to see 2 figures standing at the edge of our property near the old oak tree that bordered what used to be Grandma's backyard. Hayden and Valeria both staring at the rose bush that had been transplanted from the house they'd been forced to leave. They hadn't seen us yet, hidden as we were behind the garden shed. Who are they? Kira appeared at my elbow, her voice sharp with protective instincts. Nobody we need to worry about, but Zella had already spotted them. Are those the people from the phone call, the ones who were mean to you? Yes. Should we go inside? I watched as Hayden reached out to touch one of the white roses, his face crumpled with something that might have been regret. Valeria stood beside him, holding Emma, who was now old enough to walk and point at flowers. No, I said finally. We don't need to hide from anyone. This is our home. I stood up, brushing dirt from my knees. The girls clustered around me as we walked toward the fence, not to confront, but simply to continue our gardening in our own yard. Hayden looked up as we approached. His face was thinner than I remembered, older somehow. "Eleanor." His voice was quiet, uncertain. "Hayden?" Emma babbled and reached toward the roses, her chubby fingers grasping at air. She was beautiful, I had to admit, with Hayden's dark hair and Valeria's bright eyes. "We were just—" Valeria started, then stopped. "We wanted to see the roses, to see if they survived the transplant." They did. An awkward silence stretched between us. Kira moved closer to my side, while Shiloh picked up a watering can and began tending to the nearby flower beds with exaggerated focus. "These are your daughters?" Hayden asked, his voice careful. "They are." "They're beautiful." "Thank you." Emma dropped her toy and started to cry. Valeria bounced her gently, making soft shushing sounds. For a moment, she looked less like the perfect mother from social media and more like what she actually was, a tired woman trying her best. "Eleanor," Hayden said, "I know I have no right to ask, but—" "You're right, you don't. I want to apologize for everything, for the money, for the house, for the baptism, for treating you like you didn't matter." I looked at him for a long moment. Okay. I heard your apology. Does that mean, can we try to fix this? Can we be family again?" Zella tugged on my shirt. "Eleanor, the new roses need water too." I handed her the small watering can we'd bought just for her. "Go ahead, sweetheart. Give them a good drink." As she carefully watered the newly planted bush, I turned back to Hayden. "I have a family now, a real one. People who choose me every day, who include me in their lives, who treat me like I matter. We could do that too. We could try." "You had years to try, years to see me, to value me, to treat me with basic respect. You chose not to." Valeria shifted Emma to her other hip. "We made mistakes. We can learn from them." "I'm sure you can, but you'll have to learn somewhere else, with someone else." "So that's it?" Hayden's voice cracked. "We're just done?" I looked at my daughters, Kira standing fierce and protective beside me, Shiloh humming as she worked in the garden, Zella carefully tending to new growth with the patience of someone who understood that good things take time. "I'm not done with anything. I'm just getting started." Emma reached toward me, her little hand opening and closing. For a second, I felt a pull toward her, toward the idea of being the aunt I'd always wanted to be. But then I remembered the group chat, the baptism photos, the years of being invisible. "She's beautiful," I said to Valeria. "I hope you raise her to be kinder than you were." Valeria's face flushed, but she didn't argue. "Elena," Hayden tried one more time. "What if we—" "Mum!" Kira called out, and the words stopped everyone cold. It was the first time she'd called me that, and she'd done it deliberately, claiming me in front of the people who'd tried to diminish me. "Yes, baby. Can we plant the sunflowers now? Zella wants to see if we can grow ones taller than the fence." "Absolutely." I turned away from Hayden and Valeria without another word, walking back to where my real family was building something new. Behind me, I heard footsteps on gravel as they finally left. "Why did you call me Mum?" I asked Kira as we opened the packet of sunflower seeds. "Because you earned it, and because they needed to know who you really are." "What am I?" "You're the mum who stayed, the mum who chose us, the mum who fights for her family." Shiloh looked up from the seed packet she was examining. "Are we really going to grow sunflowers taller than the fence?" "We're going to try. What if they don't grow? Then we'll plant them again next year, and the year after that, until they do." Zella finished watering the roses and came to stand beside us. "Eleanor, are you sad about those people?" "No, sweetheart, I'm not sad." "What are you?" I looked around at our garden, at the house we'd made into a home, at the 3 girls who taught me that family isn't about blood or obligation or guilt. It's about showing up. It's about choosing each other again and again, even when it's hard. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. As the sun set behind us, we planted sunflower seeds along the back fence, each one a promise of something tall and bright and impossible to ignore. Next spring, they would bloom for us.
I spent 3 hours making the perfect dinner. Homemade pasta with that cream sauce Quinn always raved about, garlic bread from scratch, even lit the good candles I'd been saving for something special. Tonight felt special. After 7 years of working 2 jobs, living in a studio apartment that smelled like my neighbor's cat, and eating ramen 4 nights a week, I finally had enough saved for a down payment on a real home. My name is Louisa, and I'm 33 years old. I've been planning this dinner for weeks, rehearsing how I'd tell my family about the condo I'd been eyeing downtown, the one with the balcony and the kitchen island I could actually cook on instead of this hot plate situation I'd been dealing with since college. "This looks amazing, Lou," Quinn said, settling into my only decent chair while Clay helped himself to wine. My sister looked perfect as always, hair freshly highlighted, designer jeans that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. "You really went all out." Mom and Dad squeezed onto my tiny couch, Mom clutching her purse like she was afraid my poverty might be contagious. "The apartment looks cozy," she said, which was Mom speak for, "This place is a dump." "So," I started, trying to keep my voice steady, "I actually have some news to share." "Actually, honey," Dad interrupted, "we have something to discuss with you too." The way he said it made my stomach drop. Quinn was suddenly very interested in her pasta, twirling it around her fork without eating. Clay cleared his throat and reached for more wine. "What's going on?" I asked. Mom and Dad exchanged one of those looks, the kind married people give each other when they've rehearsed a conversation. "Well," Mom began, "Quinn and Clay have been looking at renovating their kitchen." "It's falling apart," Quinn added quickly. "The cabinets are from the 80s, the countertops are cracked, and honestly, it's embarrassing when people come over." I nodded, confused. "Okay, that's great that you're updating it. The thing is," Dad said, "it's expensive, really expensive, and with the kids' activities and Clay's student loans, oh no. We were hoping," Mom continued, "that maybe you could help out, as a family investment." Help out how? But I already knew. The careful way they were all looking at me, the rehearsed timing of this conversation, the fact that they'd chosen to have it here instead of at Quinn's house with her perfect dining room. "We know you've been saving money," Quinn said, and her voice had that little tremor she got when she wanted something. "And you don't have kids, or a mortgage, or anything really tying you down. It would mean so much to us." "How much?" I managed to ask. "40,000, Clay said quietly. The number hit me like a physical blow. $40,000, almost exactly what I had saved. That's everything I have." "We know it's a lot to ask," Dad said, "but Quinn has children to think about. A nice kitchen adds value to the house, and someday that'll benefit the grandkids. It's really an investment in the family's future." "What about my future?" The words came out sharper than I intended. Mom's face softened into that expression she used when she thought I was being difficult. "Honey, you're young and single. You have time to save again. Quinn's at a different stage of life." "I'm 33. "Exactly," Quinn said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. "You have so much freedom. No husband, no kids, no real responsibilities. You can rebuild your savings in a few years." I stared at her perfectly manicured nails on my work-roughened hands. "I was going to buy a condo." "A condo?" Dad frowned. "Why would you need a whole condo? This place is fine for someone in your situation." "My situation?" "You know what he means," Mom said gently. "You're independent. You don't need much space. Quinn has a family to consider." I looked around the table at these people I'd loved my whole life. At Quinn, who'd never worked a day since she got married. At my parents', who'd helped her with her wedding, her down payment, her car when it broke down. At Clay, who couldn't even meet my eyes. I need to think about it, I said. Of course, Quinn said, but she was already smiling. Take all the time you need. We're just so grateful to have someone like you in our corner. They left an hour later, chattering about cabinet styles and granite versus quartz. Quinn hugged me extra tight at the door. You're the best sister in the world, she whispered. I don't know what I'd do without you. I closed the door behind them and slid down against it until I was sitting on my cheap linoleum floor. The candles were still burning, casting shadows on the walls of my tiny apartment. The apartment I'd been so desperate to escape. I sat there until the candles burned out, thinking about 7 years of double shifts and skipped meals and saying no to every invitation because I couldn't afford it. 7 years of building something that was mine. They all left that night planning a kitchen. I laid awake planning freedom. The next morning, Quinn called before I'd even finished my coffee. Lou, I couldn't sleep last night thinking about our conversation. I know it's a huge ask, but I'll do it, I said, cutting her off. Silence. Then a squeal that nearly burst my eardrum. Oh my God, really? Lou, you're incredible. I'm literally crying right now. Clay! Clay! She said yes. I heard Clay's muffled voice in the background. Then Quinn was back. We're going to make this so beautiful. You have to come see the inspiration boards I made. When can you transfer the money? The contractor wants to start next week. I need a few days to move things around, I lied smoothly. You know how banks are with large transfers. Of course. Of course. Oh, Lou, I love you so much. You're saving our lives here. After she hung up, I sat staring at my phone. Then I opened my laptop and started typing. Real estate agents near me. By lunch, I had appointments with 3 different realtors. By evening, I was texting Quinn about cabinet hardware, like nothing had changed. What do you think about brushed gold versus matte black? I sent, along with a screenshot from some design website. OMG, the gold. So elegant. You have such good taste. I screenshot her response and saved it. Evidence of my supposed involvement in this charade. The family group chat lit up over the next few days. Mum sharing Pinterest boards, Dad sending links to appliance sales, Quinn posting photos of her current kitchen with captions like soon to be gone. And then there was the Instagram post. Quinn had taken a selfie in her kitchen, looking gorgeous and slightly sad, with the caption, "Sometimes you don't realize how blessed you are until someone shows you what real love looks like. My sister Louisa is literally giving up her savings to help us create the heart of our home. I don't deserve her, but I'm so grateful. Blessed ba family. Ta sister. Renovation. Grateful, ha, my rock." 47 likes in the first hour. Comments pouring in about what an amazing sister I was, how lucky Quinn was, how beautiful their family was. My hands were shaking when I called the first realtor. "Hi, this is Louisa. We spoke yesterday about viewing properties." Roman had a voice like warm honey and the patience of a saint. "Absolutely. I have 3 places that match your criteria. When would you like to start?" "Today. Now, if possible." "I like your enthusiasm. Meet me at 412 Maple Street in an hour?" The first condo was too dark. The second had a weird smell I couldn't identify. But the third one, God, the third one was perfect. Hardwood floors, huge windows, a kitchen island I could actually use, a balcony overlooking the street where I could drink coffee and watch the world wake up. "It's in your price range," Roman said, watching me run my hands along the granite countertops. "Good bones, solid building management. You interested?" "Very. Great. Let me get the paperwork started. You'll need proof of funds, employment verification, the usual stuff." While he made calls, I stood on the balcony and imagined my life here. No more listening to my neighbor's TV through paper-thin walls. No more hot plate dinners. No more family meetings about what I should do with my money. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Saw Quinn's post. So proud of you for stepping up. Dad and I raised you right. Another from Dad. Your mother and I were talking. Maybe after the kitchen is done, you could help Quinn with the kids' bathroom too. Family takes care of family. I deleted both messages without responding. That evening, Quinn called again. Lou, I've been thinking, since you're being so generous with the kitchen, maybe you could stay with us during the renovation. Help with the kids while everything's torn up. It would save you rent money. Stay with you? Just for a few months. The kids would love having Aunt Lou around, and honestly, Clay and I could use the help. 2 birds, 1 stone, you know? I closed my eyes. Let me think about it. You're the best. Oh, and Mom mentioned maybe looking at the upstairs bathroom next year. Nothing major, just updating the shower and vanity. We'll talk about it after the kitchen's done. After she hung up, I sat in my tiny apartment and looked around. At the stack of bills on my counter. At the couch I'd bought used 5 years ago. At the single window that faced a brick wall. Then I looked at the real estate listings still open on my laptop. At the photos of my perfect condo, with its perfect kitchen and perfect balcony. I picked up my phone and called Roman. I want to put in an offer, I said. Full asking price. Wow, that was fast. You sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Quinn posted another Instagram story that night. A boomerang of her spinning in her old kitchen with the caption, "Countdown to my dream space, thanks to my angel sister." I watched it 3 times, then opened my banking app and started the pre-approval process for my mortgage. They could keep planning their kitchen. I had bigger plans. Roman called me at work the next day. Good news! Your offer was accepted. The sellers love that you can close quickly, and you're pre-approved. Congratulations, you're going to be a homeowner. I ducked into the supply closet to take the call, my heart hammering. When can we do the inspection? How's Saturday morning? I know a great inspector, very thorough. Perfect. I hung up and stared at the shelves of office supplies, trying to process that I'd just bought a home. My phone immediately rang again. Lou! Quinn's voice was bright and manic. Emergency system meeting. Can you come over tonight? The contractor found some issues. What kind of issues? Just come over. Bring wine. Quinn's house was chaos when I arrived. Fabric samples scattered across her dining table, paint chips taped to every wall, her kids running around screaming about something. Clay was nowhere to be seen. He's working late again, Quinn said, pouring herself a generous glass of the wine I'd brought. Anyway, look at this. She shoved a piece of paper at me. A contractor's estimate with a lot of zeros. 65,000, I read. I know. But Lou, once he started looking at everything, he found all these problems. The electrical needs updating, there's water damage behind the sink, and the floor underneath isn't level. We can't just do a cosmetic renovation. Quinn, that's 25,000 more than... I know what we agreed on. Her voice got sharp. But this is reality. Houses are expensive. You wouldn't understand because you've never owned one. The words hit like a slap. Right, because I've been too busy saving money to give to you. That's not what I meant. She softened immediately. Lou, I'm sorry. I'm just stressed. The kids are driving me crazy. Clay's never home, and now this. I need my sister right now. What about a different contractor? A second opinion? This guy is the best. Mom and Dad recommended him. He did their bathroom last year. Of course they did. Quinn, I don't have $65,000, but you could get it, right? A loan or something? You have good credit, and once the kitchen's done, the house value will go up. It's an investment. I stared at her. You want me to go into debt for your kitchen? It's not just my kitchen. It's the family gathering place, where we'll have Christmas morning with the kids, where Mom will teach them to bake cookies. You're investing in memories, Lou. Her youngest ran through the room chasing the dog, knocking over a stack of tile samples. Quinn didn't even look up. I need to think about it, I said. Don't think too long. The contractor has other jobs lined up. I left Quinn's house and drove straight to the condo. Roman had given me the lockbox code so I could visit whenever I wanted. I let myself in and stood in the empty living room, moonlight streaming through those perfect windows. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Quinn told us about the extra costs. We know it's a lot, but think about how much this means to her. And to us. Family first, honey. I turned my phone face down and walked onto the balcony. The street was quiet, just a few cars passing by. Normal people living normal lives, not being guilted into bankruptcy by their relatives. At work Monday, I was filling out inspection paperwork when Lena from accounting stopped by my desk. You look different, she said. Good different, like you're planning something. Lena was one of those people who noticed everything but never gossiped. We'd worked together for 3 years and barely talked beyond pleasantries, but something about her felt safe. Just tired, I said. My phone rang. Mum's contact photo filled the screen. Aren't you going to answer that? Lena asked. I declined the call. Not right now. Good for you. I looked up at her, surprised. What? Nothing. Just good for you. She started to walk away, then turned back. You know, Louisa, you get to choose you. Nobody else will. The words hit me like lightning. I stared at her retreating figure, then at my phone as it started ringing again. This time it was Quinn. I declined that call too. That afternoon, Roman texted, Inspector found a few minor things, but overall the place is solid. You're getting a great condo. Ready to move forward? I was sitting in my car outside Quinn's house, watching her through the window as she showed fabric samples to Mom. They were both laughing, probably planning how to spend more of my money. Yes, I texted back. Let's do this. Excellent. I'll send the final paperwork tonight. Closing is scheduled for next Friday. Next Friday. In 5 days, I'd own a home. A real home with my name on the deed, and nobody else's opinion mattering. My phone rang again. Quinn, 3rd time today. This time, I turned it off completely. Through the window, I watched Quinn check her phone, frown, then dial again. When it went straight to voicemail, she looked confused, like she couldn't comprehend a world where I didn't immediately answer her calls. I started my car and drove home to my tiny apartment, already mentally packing boxes. Friday morning, I sat in Roman's office, signing paper after paper. Purchase agreement, mortgage documents, insurance forms. Each signature felt like a small act of rebellion. Congratulations, Roman said, sliding the keys across his desk. You're officially a homeowner. I picked up the keys, and for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Really smiled. Thank you for everything. My pleasure. You were the easiest client I've had all year. No drama, no cold feet, just pure determination. If only he knew about the drama I was avoiding. My phone had been buzzing all morning. 17 missed calls from Quinn, 12 from Mom, 4 from Dad. I'd turned off notifications, but the screen still lit up every few minutes. Popular lady, Roman observed. Something like that. I drove straight to the condo, my condo, and let myself in. The afternoon light was streaming through the windows, making everything golden. I walked through each room slowly, running my hands along the walls, opening every cabinet and closet. In the master bedroom, I stood in front of the walk-in closet and laughed out loud. I could fit my entire current wardrobe in one corner and still have room for the clothes I'd always wanted but never bought because I was saving every penny. My phone rang again. This time it was Clay. Against my better judgment, I answered. Lou, thank God. Quinn's been trying to reach you all day. I've been busy. Look, I know the extra money is a lot to ask, but maybe we could work something out. A payment plan or something? Clay, the thing is, Quinn already ordered the cabinets. She was so excited after you agreed to help, and the contractor said we needed to move fast to get the good wood. They're custom, so we can't return them. I sat down hard on the bedroom floor. She ordered cabinets without the money. She was sure you'd figure something out. You always do. How much did she spend? Silence. Then, 15,000, just for the cabinets. $15,000 she doesn't have. Well, technically we have it now, right? Since you're helping? I closed my eyes. Clay, I need to tell you something. What? I bought a condo, today, with the money Quinn thinks I'm giving her. The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. You what? I bought a home. The money's gone. But Quinn ordered the cabinets. The contractor starts Monday. We put down deposits. That sounds like a Quinn problem. Lou, you can't be serious. You agreed to help. We're counting on you. I never agreed to $65,000, and I definitely never agreed to go into debt for Quinn's Instagram kitchen. Instagram kitchen? What are you talking about? You really don't know? I stood up and walked to the window. She's planning to film content in the new kitchen, for a YouTube channel, she told me herself. Another long pause. What? Ask her about it, Clay. Ask her what she's really planning to do with that perfect kitchen. I hung up and immediately turned my phone off. An hour later, I was at Target buying cleaning supplies when I remembered something. Back at my old apartment, I dug through the box of childhood stuff I kept under my bed. School reports, old photos, and there it was, a letter from the college financial aid office. Dear Louisa, it read, we regret to inform you that your scholarship has been reassigned due to family financial hardship documentation submitted by your parents. I'd been 17 when this letter came. Mom had sat me down and explained that Quinn was pregnant and needed help with medical bills. The scholarship money, my scholarship money, had to go to family first. I could take out loans, work my way through school. Quinn needed immediate help. I'd never questioned it, just accepted that my dreams came second to Quinn's emergencies. I took a photo of the letter and saved it to my phone. Sunday morning, I was painting the accent wall in my new bedroom when someone knocked on my door. Through the peephole, I saw Clay standing in the hallway, looking miserable. Lou, please, we need to talk. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. Nice place, he said, looking past me. Really nice. Thank you. Quinn doesn't know I'm here. She's not handling this well. I imagine not. The thing is, you were right. About the YouTube thing. She's been planning this whole lifestyle brand around being the perfect mom with the perfect kitchen. She already has sponsors lined up. I leaned against the door frame. Sponsors? Kitchen appliance companies, cabinet makers. She was going to make money off the renovation. A lot of money. Using my $40,000 as startup capital. She didn't see it that way. She thought you'd be happy to be part of something bigger. Part of her business plan, you mean? Clay ran his hands through his hair. I'm sorry, Lou. I should have said something earlier. I should have stopped this. Yes, you should have. Is there any way, any possibility you could still help? Even partially? I looked at him standing there in my doorway, in my home that I'd bought with my money that I'd saved with my work. No, Clay, there isn't. I closed the door and went back to painting my wall the exact shade of blue I'd always wanted. The furniture shopping started as a necessity and became therapy. I spent my lunch breaks at different stores, running my hands over dining tables I could actually afford, testing couches that would fit perfectly in my living room. At West Elm, I found a coffee table that made me stupidly happy. Real wood, simple lines, exactly what I'd pictured for years. The salesperson, a college kid with purple hair, helped me arrange delivery. "First place?" she asked. "How'd you know?" "You keep taking pictures of everything, and you look like you're about to cry, but in a good way." She wasn't wrong. I'd been sleeping better than I had in months, even on my old mattress in my tiny apartment. Every morning I woke up knowing I had somewhere to go that was mine. My phone stayed off most of the time now. When I did turn it on, the messages were getting more desperate. "Quinn, Lou, please call me. We need to fix this." "Mom, your sister is beside herself. This isn't like you." "Dad, Louisa, call home immediately." "Quinn again, I'm coming to your apartment if you don't answer." I deleted them all and went back to shopping. At the mattress store, I was testing a queen-size bed when someone said my name. "Louisa, holy shit, is that you?" I turned around and there was Dexter, my ex from 3 years ago. Same messy brown hair, same crooked smile that used to make me forget why I was mad at him. "Hey, Dex. Wow, you look different. Good different." He gestured at the mattress. "Upgrading the sleep situation?" "Something like that. Mind if I ask what happened to the whole saving every penny thing? You used to get anxiety attacks when we went out to dinner. The old me would have been embarrassed. The old me would have made excuses about being practical and responsible. The new me just shrugged. I figured out what I was saving for, which was freedom." He laughed, but not meanly. "That's very zen of you. Good for you, Lou." "Really?" The salesperson approached with paperwork, and Dexter stepped back. "I should let you get back to your shopping. But hey, if you ever want to grab coffee and tell me about this mysterious transformation, you have my number." After he left, I realized I was smiling. Not because I wanted to call him. Dexter had broken up with me because I was too focused on money and not focused enough on living. But because for the first time, someone from my past had seen me making a choice for myself and thought it was good. The mattress was delivered to my condo that Thursday. I spent an hour just lying on it in the empty bedroom, staring at the ceiling and listening to the sounds of my new neighborhood. Kids playing in the courtyard, someone practicing piano, normal life happening around me. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Quinn. I'm using Clay's phone because you blocked mine. We need to talk. The contractor starts Monday and we're out $15,000 if this doesn't happen. Please." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, "Not my problem. Lou, please, I'm begging you. I'll pay you back." "With what money?" "I'll get a job. I'll figure it out." "You should have figured it out before you spent money you didn't have." "I made a mistake. People make mistakes." I sat up on my new mattress and typed carefully. "No, Quinn. You made a plan. A plan that involved spending my money without asking. That's not a mistake. That's theft." My phone rang immediately. Clay's number. "Don't hang up," Quinn's voice said when I answered. "Please just listen." "I'm listening. I know I messed up. I know I should have asked before ordering anything. But Lou, this is my family we're talking about. My kids. They're going to lose their home if we can't pay the contractor." "You're not going to lose your home over a kitchen renovation. The deposits, the cancellation fees, the penalties. It's going to bankrupt us. Clay doesn't know how bad it is. Then maybe you should tell your husband the truth instead of calling me." "I can't. He'll leave me. He's already talking about how irresponsible I've been. I walked to my bedroom window and looked out at the street. A woman was walking her dog, stopping to let it sniff every tree. Simple, peaceful. Quinn, do you remember when I was 17 and lost my scholarship? What? What does that have to do with anything? Do you remember why I lost it? Silence. Because Mom and Dad told the college you needed medical money for your pregnancy. They took my college fund and gave it to you. Lou, that was different. I was scared and young and I was 17. I worked 3 jobs through college because of that. I've been working 3 jobs ever since. But you turned out fine. You're strong and independent and I turned out tired, Quinn. I turned out alone. And I'm done. I hung up and turned my phone off. Saturday morning, I was hanging pictures in my living room when I realized something. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was full of possibility. I had a home. I had a future. And for the first time in my adult life, both of them belonged entirely to me. Monday morning, I was making coffee in my new kitchen when I decided it was time. I'd been living in my condo for 2 weeks, sneaking around like I was doing something wrong. But I wasn't the one who'd lied or manipulated or spent money that didn't exist. I took a selfie holding my keys in front of my door, the brass numbers 412 clearly visible behind me. I looked happy, genuinely, radiantly happy. I opened the family group chat for the first time in weeks and typed, "Housewarming party TBD. Don't worry, I won't ask you to pay for it." Then I hit send and attached the photo. My phone started ringing within 30 seconds. Quinn's contact photo filled the screen, a picture of us from last Christmas where she was hugging me tight and I was smiling like an idiot. I let it ring. It stopped, then immediately started again. This time I answered. "What the hell is this?" Quinn was screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "What did you do?" "I bought a home." "With my money!" "With my money, Quinn. Money I saved working 2 jobs for 7 years. You promised you would help me." "I promised to think about it. I thought about it. I decided not to." She was crying now, ugly sobbing that made her words almost incomprehensible. "Lou, you don't understand. The contractor is here. Right now. He's tearing out my kitchen and I can't pay him." "Then you should call him off." "I can't. The cabinets are already ordered. The permits are pulled. There's a dumpster in my driveway. What am I supposed to tell him?" "Tell him the truth. That you spent money you didn't have on a kitchen you couldn't afford." "This is insane. You're being insane. Mom, get on the phone." I heard shuffling, then Mom's voice, tight with barely controlled fury. "Louisa Marie, what have you done?" "I bought a condo, Mom, like I told you I was planning to do." "You were supposed to help your sister." "No, I was supposed to give up my future so Quinn could have a prettier kitchen. I chose not to." "You chose to be selfish." "I chose to be smart." Dad's voice joined the call. "Louisa, this is unacceptable. Your sister has children to think about. And I have myself to think about." "That's not how family works," Mom said. "Family sacrifices for each other." "Really? When has Quinn ever sacrificed anything for me?" Silence. "When has anyone in this family ever sacrificed anything for me?" "We raised you," Dad said. "We fed you and clothed you and—" "You did the bare minimum required by law. Congratulations." Quinn grabbed the phone back. "Lou, please, I'm begging you. I'll do anything. I'll pay you back. I'll—" "How? You don't have a job." "I'll get one." "Doing what? You haven't worked in 12 years." "I'll figure it out. Please don't do this to me." I walked to my living room window and looked out at my view. My beautiful, peaceful view that nobody could take away from me. "I'm not doing anything to you, Quinn. I'm doing something for me." I hung up, Within minutes, my phone was buzzing with individual calls. Mom, Dad, Quinn again. I declined them all. Then Clay called. Lou, I need to tell you something. What now? Quinn lied about the YouTube thing. I sat down on my new couch. What do you mean? It's not just a lifestyle channel. She's been talking to production companies, reality TV people. They want to film the renovation, make it into a show about family and home and sacrifice. Sacrifice. She was going to be the star. The perfect mom with the perfect kitchen, talking about how her amazing sister gave up everything to make her dreams come true. My hands were shaking. She was going to put me on TV. As the selfless sister who worked 2 jobs to fund her family's happiness. The producers loved the angle. Without asking me. She said you'd be thrilled, that you'd love being part of something bigger. I laughed, but it came out bitter. Part of her story, you mean? Lou, I'm sorry. I should have told you weeks ago. I should have stopped this whole thing. Why didn't you? Because I wanted the kitchen too, and I thought maybe she was right, that you didn't really need the money like we did. Need it for what? For life, for a real life, kids and a house and all the things that matter. Those things matter to you, Clay. They don't matter to me. I know that now, and I'm sorry. After he hung up, I sat in my quiet living room and tried to process what I'd just learned. Quinn hadn't just wanted my money. She'd wanted to turn my sacrifice into entertainment, to profit off my pain while painting herself as the deserving recipient of my generosity. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Mom. I'm very disappointed in you. Your sister is having a breakdown and it's your fault. I typed back, tell Quinn I said good luck with the TV show. Then I blocked the number, turned off my phone, and made myself dinner in my beautiful kitchen that belonged to nobody but me. The consequences came fast and brutal. Tuesday morning, I got a text from Quinn. The kid's birthday party is this weekend. Don't come. I stared at the message. Emma was turning 7, Jake was turning 5. I'd been planning their parties since they were born. Always the aunt who showed up with the perfect gifts and helped clean up afterward. I texted back, Fine. Fine? That's all you have to say? You're missing your niece and nephew's birthday because you're being petty. I'm not missing anything. You uninvited me. Because you stole from us. I stole my own money. She didn't respond. Wednesday, Dad called from his office. I could hear the traffic outside his window. Louisa, this has gone far enough. You're breaking this family apart. I bought a condo, Dad. How does that break anything? Your sister is devastated. Your mother hasn't slept in days. The grandchildren are asking why Aunt Lou isn't coming to their party. Ask Quinn why she uninvited me. She's hurt. She trusted you, and you betrayed that trust. She trusted me to give her $40,000 I never promised her. You led her to believe. I led her to believe nothing. She assumed. She planned. She spent money she didn't have, and now she wants me to fix it. That's what family does. No, Dad, that's what I do. What has Quinn ever done for me? Silence. What has anyone in this family ever done for me that wasn't the bare minimum? We love you. You love what I provide. There's a difference. I hung up. Thursday, Mom showed up at my office. Lena came to get me from the break room. There's a woman here asking for you. Says she's your mother. She looks intense. Mom was standing by the reception desk in her good coat, the one she wore to church and parent-teacher conferences. Her face was tight with controlled rage. We need to talk, she said. I'm at work. Then we'll talk here. The receptionist was pretending not to listen, but I could see her ears practically twitching. I led Mom to the small conference room we used for client meetings. Sit down, Mom said, like I was still 12 years old. I'll stand. Louisa, what you're doing is cruel. Quinn called me crying this morning because Emma asked why you don't love them anymore. Quinn told a 7-year-old that I don't love her? She's trying to explain why you're not coming to the party, why you're punishing innocent children for adult problems. I'm not punishing anyone. Quinn uninvited me. Because you hurt her. You made her look foolish in front of the contractor, in front of the neighbors. She had to cancel everything. She made herself look foolish by spending money she didn't have. Mom's voice got that edge it always had when she was about to say something meant to cut deep. You know what I think? I think you're jealous. You're jealous that Quinn has a family and a husband and a real life, and you have nothing but a job and an empty apartment. I have a home now, a beautiful home that I bought with my own money. You have a box to hide in because you can't handle real relationships, real responsibility. Real responsibility like funding other people's fantasies? Like taking care of family when they need you. I looked at my mother standing there in her good coat, her face twisted with disappointment, and something inside me finally snapped. When have you ever taken care of me, Mom? When I lost my scholarship? When I worked 3 jobs through college? When I lived on ramen for years so I could save money? When did you ever ask if I needed help? You never asked. Because I knew the answer. I knew that Quinn's needs would always come first. Quinn's pregnancy, Quinn's wedding, Quinn's house, Quinn's kitchen, Quinn's dreams. What about mine? You don't have children, so I don't matter? That's not what I said. It's exactly what you said. It's what you've always said. Quinn matters because she reproduced. I don't matter because I chose differently. Mom's face was red now. You're being dramatic. Am I? Tell me one time, Mom. One time when you chose me over Quinn. One time when my needs came first. She opened her mouth, then closed it. You can't. Can you? Quinn needed more help. Quinn needed to learn to stand on her own feet. Instead, you taught her that other people would always bail her out. Well, congratulations. You created a monster. Don't you dare talk about your sister that way. My sister is a manipulative, entitled brat who thinks the world owes her everything, and you made her that way. Mum stepped back like I'd slapped her. I don't know who you are anymore. I'm the daughter who finally figured out that family isn't supposed to be a one-way street. She left without another word. That evening, I sat in my living room with a glass of wine and looked around at my space. My furniture, my books, my life. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was peaceful. Maybe they were never my family, just my creditors, and I was finally debt-free. The silence lasted 3 weeks. No calls, no texts, no angry voicemails. It was like my family had collectively decided I no longer existed. At first, I kept checking my phone, expecting the usual barrage of guilt and manipulation. But there was nothing. I filled the quiet with life. Real life. Saturday morning, I was watering the small herb garden I'd started on my balcony when my neighbor from across the hall knocked on my door. Mrs. Patterson, 70-something with bright silver hair and a laugh that could be heard 3 floors down. I'm making too much lasagna again, she said, holding a covered dish. You interested? That's really sweet, but you don't have to. Honey, I've been watching you move in here for weeks. You work too much and eat too little. Let an old lady feed you. We ate on my balcony, talking about everything and nothing. She told me about her late husband, her garden club, her grandson who was studying abroad. Normal conversation with someone who didn't want anything from me except company. You seem different from when you first moved in, she said, helping herself to more salad. Different how? Lighter. Like you were carrying something heavy and finally put it down. She wasn't wrong. Monday at work, Lena stopped by my desk with coffee and a card. What's this for? Open it. Inside was a simple congratulations card with a handwritten note. For choosing yourself. It takes courage. I'm proud of you. I looked up at her, surprised to feel tears in my eyes. How did you know? I didn't know the details, but I could see you were fighting something, and then one day you weren't fighting anymore. You were just free. That afternoon, Clay called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Lou, please don't hang up. What do you want, Clay? I wanted to tell you what happened with the kitchen. I don't need to know. Yes, you do, because you were right about everything. I sat down at my kitchen table, the one I'd picked out myself and paid for with my own money. Quinn had to cancel the renovation. The contractor kept the deposits, obviously. But here's the thing. When she called the TV people to tell them the project was off, they said they were never really interested anyway. What? It was all in her head, Lou. She'd had one phone call with some assistant who said they'd keep her in mind for future projects. That was it. No contracts, no commitments, nothing. I closed my eyes. So she destroyed our relationship over a fantasy. Pretty much. And when I confronted her about lying to me, about the YouTube channel, about all of it, she said she was just trying to make something of herself, that she felt useless being a stay-at-home mom and wanted to matter. She could have gotten a job. That's what I said. She could have taken classes, volunteered, done anything that didn't involve spending money we didn't have. What happens now? I don't know. We're in counseling. She's looking for work, finally. The kids keep asking about you. Clay, I'm not asking you to forgive her, or any of us. I just wanted you to know that you were right, about everything. After he hung up, I sat in my kitchen and tried to feel something. Vindication, maybe, or satisfaction. But all I felt was tired. Tired of their drama, their chaos, their endless need for someone else to fix their problems. I made dinner, real dinner, not takeout or frozen meals, and ate it while reading a book I'd bought just because I wanted to. No guilt about the money, no anxiety about what I should be saving for instead. Later, I was hanging a new piece of art in my bedroom when I found the letter. The one from college, about my lost scholarship. I'd stuck it in my purse weeks ago and forgotten about it. I looked at it for a long time, then walked to my kitchen and held it over the sink. The flame from my lighter caught the corner, and I watched 17 years of resentment turn to ash. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Emma. Daddy gave me his phone. I miss you, Aunt Lou. Do you miss me? I stared at the message, my heart breaking a little. Then I typed back, I miss you too, sweetheart. Maybe we can have a play date soon. Just you and me. Can we go to the zoo? We can go anywhere you want. I wasn't ready to forgive Quinn, or my parents, or anyone else who'd spent years treating me like an ATM with feelings. But Emma and Jake were innocent in all this. They deserved better than being used as weapons in their mother's war. I looked around my condo, my home, and smiled. The walls were painted the colors I wanted. The furniture was arranged exactly how I liked it. The silence was mine to fill, or not fill, as I chose. For the first time in my life, I didn't owe anyone a damn thing, and that felt like home.
3% battery life. That's all I have left to find a job, a place to sleep, and maybe salvage what's left of my dignity. I'm hunched in the back seat of my Honda Civic, parked behind a 24-hour pharmacy, using their Wi-Fi to submit another desperate application. The screen glows in the darkness, illuminating the fog of my breath in the cold car. My name is Caitlin, and this isn't how I imagine my 30s would look. The phone buzzes, a notification from Instagram. My brother Scott's latest post, him and his wife Reese beaming in front of their new house. Mum and Dad are there too, all smiles, with our old family dog, Sophie, wagging her tail in the foreground. The caption reads, "Dreams do come true. Thanks, Mum and Dad, for helping make this possible." Blessed, that's our first-time homeowner. My hands shake as I zoom in on the image. It's a beautiful colonial, at least $450,000 worth of dream home. The same parents who told me 3 weeks ago they couldn't spare $500 to help me escape my abusive boyfriend just helped my brother buy a house. "We're stretched thin right now, honey," Mom had said, her voice crisp and dismissive over the phone. "Maybe if you'd been more careful with your choices." I remember standing in that sterile hospital hallway, whispering into my phone, trying to hide the bruises under my sleeve. "Mum, please, I just need enough for a deposit on an apartment. I can't go back there." "You always do this, Caitlin. Create drama, expect us to rescue you. Your brother never needed." I'd hung up then. That was the last real conversation we had. A car pulls into the parking lot, and I duck down, heart racing. It's just a teenager picking up a prescription, but these days, every shadow makes me flinch. Peyton could be anywhere. He's already tried tracking my phone once. My screen lights up again. A text from Mum. "Saw you viewed Scott's post. He worked hard for that house. Don't be jealous. It's not attractive." The battery indicator blinks red. 2% now. With trembling fingers, I type my final message to her. "Thank you for showing me exactly where I stand." I hit send and watch the message turn blue. Then I block her number, block Dad's, block Scott's. I open my wallet, $43 and some change. My entire life stuffed into 2 duffel bags in the trunk, but I have my laptop, my skills, and most importantly, my freedom. The phone dies with a quiet blip, and I toss it into the nearby dumpster. Let them wonder, let them worry, or don't. They've made it clear they won't. A memory surfaces, last Christmas, before everything fell apart. Scott bragging about his promotion, Mum touching his shoulder with pride. "You've always been so responsible," she'd said, while I sat quietly, hiding finger-shaped bruises under my festive sweater. Even then, they'd known something was wrong. They just chose not to see it. The night air is getting colder. I start the car, letting it run for a few minutes to warm up. The check engine light glows accusingly, another problem I can't afford to fix. But this car is all I have left. My home, my escape route, my last stand. I pull out my laptop, connecting to the pharmacy's Wi-Fi again. My fingers hover over the keyboard, then begin to type. Not another job application this time, but something else. A story. My story. "What happens when your family funds your abusers' enablers?" I write. "When they hand your brother the keys to his dream home while you sleep in a car?" I post it anonymously on Reddit, not expecting anything, just needing to scream into the void to make these words exist somewhere outside my head. The sun will rise soon. I need to move. Can't stay in one place too long. Peyton knows my habits, knows where I might go, but he doesn't know this version of me yet. The one who stops waiting for rescue, the one who saves herself. I put the car in drive, checking my rearview mirror one last time. In the distance, the pharmacy's sign glows like a lighthouse, marking the spot where I finally cut the last ties to my old life, where I stopped being the family disappointment and became something else entirely, something stronger, something they'll never see coming. I pull out onto the empty street heading east, toward the sunrise, toward whatever comes next. Let them have their perfect family photos and their dream homes. I have something better now. I have nothing left to lose. "You look like hell," Marissa says, pulling me into a fierce hug. "Come inside before you freeze to death." I haven't showered in 3 days, and my clothes smell like the 24-hour gym where I've been sneaking in to wash up in the bathroom sink. But Marissa doesn't flinch. She just guides me into her tiny apartment, already pulling out blankets and setting water to boil. "I saw your Reddit post," she says, handing me a steaming mug of tea. "It's going viral, by the way. Over 20,000 upvotes last I checked." I sink onto her worn couch, letting the warmth seep into my frozen fingers. I didn't think anyone would care. "Are you kidding? People are furious on your behalf. The comment section is on fire. My laptop sits heavy in my bag. For the past week, I've been working from coffee shops and library corners, taking whatever freelance writing gigs I can find. The car's check engine light finally gave up and died along with the heater. "Tell me everything," Marissa says, settling beside me. "Start with what happened after you left Peyton." The memories come in fragments, like shards of broken glass. "He found out I was saving money to leave, went ballistic. I grabbed what I could and ran while he was at work. Been moving around ever since." "And your parents really wouldn't help?" "They helped Scott instead." My laugh comes out bitter. $90,000 for his down payment, but they couldn't spare pocket change to keep their daughter off the streets. Marissa's phone buzzes. She glances at it, then does a double take. "Caitlin, your post just got shared by Livestrong. They want to interview you about surviving domestic abuse." "What? No, I can't." "Yes, you can." She grabs my hand. "Remember college, when everyone said you'd never make it as a writer? Look how that turned out." I did graduate, despite everyone's doubts. Landed good jobs too, before Peyton slowly isolated me, convinced me to quit, made me dependent. "You can sleep here tonight," Marissa continues. "And tomorrow we're setting you up with a proper workspace. My dining table is yours." "I can't impose." "You're not imposing, you're surviving, and you're going to do more than survive." She pulls up my Reddit post on her phone. "Look at these comments. This story saved my life. I finally found the courage to leave. You're helping people just by telling the truth." My hands shake as I scroll through the responses. Thousands of stories like mine. People betrayed by the ones who should have protected them. "Another media request just came in," Marissa says, checking her email. "They're offering to pay for your story." For the first time in weeks, I feel something like hope flutter in my chest. "How much?" "Enough to get you started somewhere new." She squeezes my shoulder. "You always were a better writer than me." I open my laptop, the screen illuminating the dark room. My fingers hover over the keyboard, then begin to move. "What are you writing now?" Marissa asks. "A follow-up post about what happens after you leave, the real story, not the sanitized version." I pause, thinking. About sleeping in your car and washing your hair in gas station bathrooms, about how freedom feels like fear before it feels like victory. "They're going to love it." "They're going to hate it," I correct her, "because it's going to make them uncomfortable. It's going to make them look at their own families differently." My phone, a cheap prepaid model now, pings with another notification, another media request, then another. "Your brother shared a new photo," Marissa says quietly, showing me her Instagram feed. "Housewarming party, your parents are there." I don't look. Instead, I keep typing, letting the words flow like water breaking through a dam. Every click of the keys feels like another brick in the wall between my past and my future. "You know what the worst part is?" I say, not looking up from the screen. "They'll never admit they were wrong. They'll tell everyone I abandoned the family, that I'm being dramatic. They'll never say, 'We failed her when she needed us most.'" Marissa reads over my shoulder as I write. "This is good, Caitlin, really good." The sun is rising outside her window, painting the room in shades of pink and gold. My tea has gone cold, but I don't care. For the first time since I left, my hands aren't shaking. A new message pops up in my inbox. From someone named Mohammed, a literary agent. "I think," he writes, "a lot of people need to hear your voice. Want to talk?" I look at Marissa, who's already grinning. "Well?" she asks. I hit reply and begin to type. "Tell me about your ideal reader," Mohammed says, leaning back in his ergonomic office chair. "Who are you writing this book for?" I'm sitting in his downtown office, wearing the only business casual outfit I own, bought from a thrift store yesterday. 6 months have passed since that night in Marissa's apartment. My viral posts have turned into speaking engagements, coaching sessions, and now a book deal. I'm writing for the woman sleeping in her car tonight, I answer. The one whose family told her she's overreacting. The one who thinks she'll never make it. Mohammed nods, sliding the contract across his desk. That's exactly why we want this book. Your story isn't just about abuse. It's about betrayal, resilience, and redemption. I sign my name, watching the ink dry. My first advance check sits next to it. More money than I've ever seen at once. Your social media numbers are exploding, he continues, pulling up analytics on his screen. The coaching program you launched last month already has a waiting list. My phone buzzes. Another client booking. I've been helping women rebuild their lives after leaving abusive situations. The irony isn't lost on me. Have you heard from your family? Mohammed asks carefully. They tried reaching out when the first article went viral. I check my calendar. 3 podcast interviews scheduled for next week. I didn't respond. Good. Keep that energy for the book. Later that evening, I'm viewing apartments with Taya, my new assistant. She's showing me listings in upscale neighbourhoods, places I never dreamed I could afford before. This one has great natural light, she says, opening curtains in a penthouse suite. Perfect for your video calls. I walk to the window, looking out over the city. My bank account just hit 6 figures, my first $60,000 a month from coaching and speaking fees. The advance check will double that. There's another property I want to show you, Taya says, scrolling through her phone. It's different. She pulls up a listing that makes my heart stop. A stunning modern house 2 doors down from Scott's, listed at $1.1 million. It just hit the market, she continues. The owner's relocating overseas. They're motivated to sell. I stare at the photos. The house is everything Scott's isn't. Sleek, contemporary, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a meditation garden. It's a power move, a statement. It's perfect, I whisper. You sure? It's in their neighbourhood. Exactly. I pull up my banking app, make an offer, full asking price, all cash. Taya's eyes widen. You want to? Show them exactly what they missed out on? Yes. I hand her my phone. Do it now, before I change my mind. That night, I attend my weekly therapy session with Dr. Sarah. We've been working through the trauma, the abandonment, the anger. How does it feel? She asks. This success? Surreal. I fidget with my sleeve, an old habit. Sometimes I wake up thinking I'm back in that car. And the house? Buying it so close to your family? What's that about? I consider her question. Control, maybe, or proving something. To them or to yourself. Before I can answer, my phone lights up. Taya's message. Offer accepted. Congratulations on your new home. Dr. Sarah watches my expression change. What are you thinking right now? I'm thinking about karma, I reply, about how sometimes it needs a little help. The next morning, I stand in my soon-to-be home, footsteps echoing off empty walls. Through the front windows, I can see Scott's house, a swing set in his backyard, Mum's car in his driveway. Taya joins me, tablet in hand. We should plan a housewarming. No, I smile, an idea forming. A brunch, family only. Are you sure that's wise? I walk to the kitchen, all marble and stainless steel. Bigger than Scott's. Better. Send formal invitations. Make them elegant, expensive. Don't put my name, just the address and date. They might not come. Oh, they'll come. I run my hand along the cool counter. Mum never could resist a mystery. And Scott will want to know who bought the best house in his neighbourhood. Taya starts typing. What should the invitation say? You are cordially invited to celebrate new beginnings, I dictate. Dress for success. She looks up. That's a little petty, maybe. I walk to the windows again, watching a car pull into Scott's driveway. Mum, probably bringing him dinner, like she always did. But some things are worth being petty about. I turn away from the window, from the past it represents. This house isn't just a home, it's a fortress, a declaration, a beginning. Send the invitations, I tell Taya. It's time for a family reunion. The invitations arrive at their homes on a Tuesday, cream-coloured cardstock in silver envelopes. I track the delivery notifications on my phone, imagining their reactions. Your mother called, Taya announces, walking into my home office. 3 times in the last hour. Right on schedule. I check my new phone, the one with my old number that I recently reactivated just for this. 5 missed calls, 2 voicemails. I press play on the first one. Caitlin, honey, we received an invitation. Are you behind this? Please call us back. Mum's voice is sugary sweet, like it always is when she wants something. The second message is more direct. We heard you've been doing okay for yourself. Your father and I would love to catch up. They heard, I laugh, deleting the messages. More like they've been secretly following my success while pretending I don't exist. Taya checks her tablet. Scott and Reese RSVP'd, yes. Your parents too. Of course they did. I walk through my nearly furnished house, checking details. They're dying to know how I afforded this place. The house has been transformed over the past week. Every room is a masterpiece of modern design, each detail carefully chosen to tell a story of success. The kitchen gleams with professional appliances. The living room features original artwork. My home office, visible from the front windows, displays my book cover, mock-up and speaking engagement posters. The caterers are confirmed for Sunday, Taya continues. Menu includes everything you requested. Champagne will be flowing. Perfect! I pause at the window, watching Scott's wife Reese load their son into her SUV. Have you seen the neighbourhood gossip? Everyone's talking. Theories range from lottery winner to secret tech millionaire. Taya smirks. No one's guessed self-made success story yet. My phone buzzes again. Scott this time, trying a different approach. Hey sis, long time. Mum's pretty worked up about this brunch thing. What's going on? I leave it unread. Let them wonder. Let them worry. The days tick by, and I rehearse nothing. My revenge isn't in words. It's in the marble countertops, the view from my office, the success they can't deny. It's in the life I built while they pretended I didn't exist. Sunday morning arrives bright and clear. Taya supervises the caterers while I get ready, choosing a simple black dress that screams quiet money. Security's in place, she reminds me, just in case Peyton somehow... He won't, I interrupt. He's too busy dealing with the lawsuits from his other victims who came forward after my story broke. The doorbell chimes at exactly 11 a.m. I check the security camera. Mum and Dad standing awkwardly on my front steps. Mum's clutching her designer purse like a shield. Dad's tugging at his collar. Ready? Taya asks. I take a deep breath, smoothing my dress. I've been ready for 2 years. The heavy double doors swing open. Mum's practiced smile freezes on her face. Dad's mouth actually drops open. Caitlin, Mum whispers. Welcome to my home, I say, stepping aside to let them in. Please, come see what your daughter built, without any help at all. They walk in slowly, taking in the soaring ceilings, the expensive art, the obvious signs of wealth. Mum's knuckles are white around her purse strap. This is yours, Dad manages. Every square foot. I lead them toward the kitchen, where champagne flutes await. Paid in cash, actually. No mortgages needed. The doorbell rings again. Scott and Reese, right on time. Their faces match our parents when they see me. Holy shit, Scott breathes. Language, Mum snaps automatically, then catches herself. I guide them all to the dining room where a feast awaits. Taya pours champagne with professional precision. Through the windows, they can see their own homes, smaller, older, less impressive. A toast, I say, raising my glass, to family. They lift their glasses mechanically, still staring around in shock. Reese finds her voice first. "We had no idea you were so successful," she says. "What exactly do you do?" I smile, taking a small sip. I help people rebuild their lives after tragedy, after betrayal, after their families fail them. Mum's champagne sloshes in her shaking glass. "Caitlin, surely you understand we—" "More mimosas," I interrupt smoothly. "Taya, would you mind?" The brunch proceeds like a carefully choreographed dance. They ask probing questions. I give vague answers. They hint at reconciliation. I change the subject. With each passing minute, the weight of what they lost becomes clearer. The doorbell rings one final time. I check my watch, right on schedule. "Excuse me," I say, standing. "That would be my photographer. We're doing a piece for Business Insider about success after survival." I leave them sitting there, marinating in their choices, and go to greet the next act in my carefully planned production. Let the real show begin. The photographer, Sarah, sets up in my home office while my family watches from the dining room. Their mimosas sit untouched, condensation beading on the crystal. "The lighting in here is perfect," Sarah says loudly enough for them to hear. "No wonder your video interviews do so well." Mum clears her throat. "Video interviews? Oh, you haven't seen them?" I turn, feigning surprise. "I'm sure you can find them online. My TEDx talk has over 2 million views now." Scott pulls out his phone, fingers moving rapidly. I watch his face as he finds it. Me on stage, telling my story to a packed auditorium. His expression darkens when he sees the view count. "You talk about us?" Dad asks, voice tight. "I talk about survival," I correct him. "About rebuilding when the people who should support you don't." Sarah snaps a few test shots. "Should we include the wall with your book cover?" "Book?" Mum's voice rises an octave. I gesture to the framed mock-up. "Coming out next month. It's already hit the pre-order bestseller list." Reese stands abruptly, walking to examine the cover. "From Car to Castle, a memoir of rising from rock bottom by Caitlin W." She turns to me. "Is this why you bought this house? To show off?" "No," I say calmly. "I bought it because I loved the afternoon light. Isn't that right, Scott? Your house doesn't quite catch it the same way." He flushes red. "Listen, if this is about the money Mum and Dad gave us—" $90,000, I cut in. "For your down payment while I was sleeping in my car." "Scott needed a fresh start," Mum interjects. "He had a family to think about." "And I needed safety," I snap, my composure cracking slightly. "I needed parents who cared more about their daughter's life than their son's comfort." Sarah quietly slips out, sensing the tension. Taya appears with fresh drinks, but no one reaches for them. "You always make everything so dramatic," Mum sighs. "If you just what? Stayed with Peyton, let him finish what he started." Dad shifts uncomfortably. "We didn't know it was that bad. You didn't want to know." I walk to the window, looking out at their houses. "But that's not even the worst part, is it? Tell me about the foundation repairs, Scott." The room goes deadly quiet. Reese's face drains of colour. "What about them?" Scott asks carefully. "See the funny thing about construction permits? They're public record, including the cost." I turn back to face them. "Another 50,000 from Mom and Dad, which means they didn't give you 90,000 for your down payment. They gave you $140,000. Mum's champagne glass slips from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. Taya appears instantly with a dustpan. "We had the money," I continue, my voice steady. You had it all along. You just decided I wasn't worth saving. That's not fair, Scott protests. My foundation was literally crumbling. So was I. The words echo off the high ceilings. I was falling apart in a hospital room, begging for help, and you all went home to plan Scott's housewarming party. Dad stands, reaching for me. Sweetheart. Don't. I step back. Don't pretend to care now that I'm successful. Don't act like you're proud when you're just shocked. We are proud, Mom insists. We always knew you'd land on your feet. No, I laugh bitterly. You hoped I would fail. You expected me to come crawling back, to admit you were right. Instead, I built this. I gesture around us. Without you, despite you. Scott's phone pings. He's still on my TEDx page. 2.1 million views now, he mutters. Your numbers must be wrong about the money, Reese says quickly. There's no way. I have copies of everything, I interrupt. Every transfer, every permit, every time they chose you over me. Would you like to see them? The silence is deafening. Outside, a car door slams, probably neighbours watching the drama unfold. Let them watch. Why did you invite us here? Dad finally asks. Because success isn't enough. I walk to my desk, pulling out a folder. I wanted you to see exactly what you lost, what you threw away when you decided I wasn't worth saving. I hand each of them a document. They read in silence, faces paling. This is, Mum's hands shake, my latest bank statement, my company's quarterly earnings, and yes, the deed to this house, paid in full. I smile, but there's no warmth in it. I thought you should know what betting against me cost you. Cost us? Scott looks up confused. Check the last page. I walk to the door holding it open. It's my will. You're not in it, any of you. Now, I believe brunch is over. They file out slowly, stunned. As the door closes behind them, I hear Mum start to cry, but I don't feel victorious, just empty. And somehow, that feels right too. You need to see this, Marissa says, bursting into my home office 3 days after the brunch. She's holding her tablet like it contains classified documents. What now? I'm reviewing final proofs for my book, red pen in hand. Someone leaked the permit records for Scott's house repairs. They're all over social media. She turns the tablet toward me. The whole story is blowing up. I scan the posts, screenshots of public records, bank transfers, all the evidence I'd gathered. I didn't leak this. No, but Reese did. Marissa pulls up another screen. She's been posting cryptic messages about family secrets and the truth coming out. People connected the dots to your TEDx talk. My phone starts buzzing. Mohammed calling. I put him on speaker. The publisher wants to move up the release date, he says without preamble. This is perfect timing. The internet is obsessed with your story. I scroll through Twitter, watching my name trend. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Are you kidding? Marissa exclaims. This is better than anything we could have planned. Look at the comments. The responses are overwhelming. People sharing similar stories of family betrayal, questions about how I rebuilt my life, demands for more details. Write about it, Mohammed urges. Right now while it's hot, a blog post, something raw and real. I open my laptop, fingers hovering over the keys. The words come in a rush. What's the price of family loyalty? In my case, it was exactly $140,000. The amount my parents gave my brother, while telling me they couldn't spare $500 to help me escape abuse. But the real cost? That's still being calculated. Marissa reads over my shoulder as I type. This is going to destroy them. They destroyed themselves, I reply, still writing. I'm just providing the receipts. The post goes live an hour later. Within minutes, it's viral. My phone explodes with notifications, interview requests, speaking invitations, book pre-orders skyrocketing. Your father sent an email, Taya announces, walking in with coffee. Want me to read it? I nod, continuing to type responses to comments. We didn't know it was that bad, she reads. Please, can we talk? We made a terrible mistake. 2 years too late, I mutter. Marissa squeezes my shoulder. Are you okay? Before I can answer, my security system chimes. Scott's at my front door. Don't answer it, Marissa says quickly, but I'm already standing. No, let him in. I want to hear this. Scott looks terrible, unshaven, eyes red. Reese left, he blurts out as soon as I open the door. Took our son to her mother's. That sounds like a you problem. She saw the records, the transfers, started asking questions about what kind of people we are. He runs a hand through his dishevelled hair. Mum and Dad mortgaged their retirement for my house. Did you know that? I know everything, I reply coldly. I always did. I just needed the world to know too. They might lose their house because of this going public. Their reputation. Their reputation? I laugh sharply. What about my life? What about the nights I spent freezing in my car, terrified Peyton would find me? I'm sorry, he whispers. I should have helped you. But you didn't. None of you did. You took their money and looked the other way. My phone buzzes again. Another media request. My post has been shared over 50,000 times now. What do you want? Scott asks desperately. Money! I'll sell the house, pay you back. I don't want your money. I step back from the door. I want you to live with what you did. I want Mum and Dad to face themselves in the mirror every morning. I want you all to understand exactly what you threw away. We're still family. No, I cut him off. We're not. Family doesn't let families sleep in cars while funding their golden child's dream home. Family doesn't enable abuse by staying neutral. My security system chimes again. Mum and Dad pulling into my driveway. Perfect timing, I say, watching them approach. Now you can all hear this together. They rush up my front steps, Mom already crying. Please let us explain. There's nothing to explain. I stand in my doorway, successful and untouchable. The truth is already out there. The whole world can see what you did. We can fix this, Dad pleads. No, I reply simply. You can't, and that's the point. I close the door on their protests, their excuses, their too late apologies. Through the window, I watch them stand there, broken and exposed, finally understanding the weight of their choices. My phone buzzes one last time. Another notification. My post has gone international. The truth, as they say, will set you free. But first, it burns everything to the ground. Your book just hit #1 on pre-orders, Mohammed announces during our video call. The publisher wants to double the initial print run. I'm sitting in my home office, watching movers carry boxes out of Scott's house through the window. Reese filed for divorce last week. Mum and Dad haven't shown their faces in days. They're moving? Mohammed asks, following my distracted gaze. Reese got a job offer in Seattle, taking their son with her. I turn back to the screen. Scott's house is on the market. How does that make you feel? Nothing? I shrug. I feel nothing. But that's not entirely true. The emptiness has been replaced by something else. Not satisfaction exactly, but a quiet certainty, like watching dominoes fall exactly as planned. My phone lights up. A text from Dad. Please meet us. One last time. We need to tell you something. I show the message to Mohammed. He raises an eyebrow. Are you going to? Yes, I decide, but on my terms, in my house. They arrive that evening, Mom, Dad, and Scott. They look smaller somehow, deflated. Mum's designer purse is missing, replaced by a simple canvas bag. Dad's wearing the same shirt he had on at brunch. Talk, I say, once they're seated in my living room. Mum pulls out a folder, old, worn at the edges. We need to show you something about the money. I've seen the records. Not these, Dad interrupts. These are different. Inside the folder are medical bills, dozens of them dating back to my childhood. My name is on everyone. You were sick, Mum says softly. So sick for years. The insurance wouldn't cover everything. I remember fragments, hospitals, tests, specialists. But I'd been too young to understand. We spent everything, Dad continues. Our savings, our retirement fund. By the time you were 12, we were drowning in debt. What does this have to do with? We promised ourselves, Mum cuts in, that we'd never let money destroy our children's futures again when Scott needed help. You chose him, I finish, because you'd already spent too much on me. We were wrong, Dad whispers. So terribly wrong. We let our fear of debt, of hospitals, of losing everything again, we let it blind us. Scott hasn't spoken yet. He's staring at the bills, hands shaking. I never knew, he says, about any of this. Because they protected you, I reply. They always protected you. We thought we were being strong, Mum says. Responsible, but we were just being cowards. I pick up one of the bills, $43,000 for a week-long hospital stay when I was 9. So you punished me for being sick, for costing you too much as a child? No. Dad stands up. We punished ourselves. We became so focused on never being financially vulnerable again that we lost sight of what really mattered. Your safety, Mum adds. Your life. We failed you, Caitlin. Completely and utterly failed you. The room falls silent except for the sound of Scott's movers next door, carrying out pieces of his broken life. Do you know what the worst part is? I finally say. I would have understood if you'd just told me the truth, if you'd said, we can't help because we already spent everything saving your life once. I would have understood. Would you have? Scott asks quietly. Yes, because that would have been about love, about sacrifice. Instead, you made it about judgment, about me being dramatic, attention-seeking, less worthy than Golden Boy here. Mum starts to cry, real tears this time, not the manipulative ones from before. We can't fix this, Dad says. We know that. But we needed you to know. It was never because we loved you less. I walk to my window, watching the moving truck pull away from Scott's house. You're right. You can't fix this, but thank you for finally telling me the truth. What happens now? Scott asks. Now? I turn back to them. Now you leave. You live with your choices, just like I lived with them. You watch me succeed from a distance, just like I watched you get everything I needed. And us? Mum gestures between us. Will we ever? I don't know, I answer honestly. Maybe someday, but not today. They stand slowly, understanding the dismissal. At the door, Dad pauses. We're proud of you, he says. Not because of all this. He gestures at my house. But because you survived us. Because you're stronger than we ever were. I don't answer. Just close the door behind them, listening to their footsteps fade. The truth doesn't heal everything. Sometimes it just helps you understand why things had to break. The morning sun streams through my office windows as I finish recording another podcast episode. Through the glass, I can see the sold sign on Scott's empty house. A young couple toured it yesterday. She's a domestic violence counsellor. He's a social worker. Something about that feels right. That was powerful, Marissa says, removing her headphones. She's been hosting my podcast since its launch. The part about forgiveness not being mandatory, people need to hear that. Speaking of which, Taya appears in the doorway. Your mother left these at the gate. She hands me a stack of envelopes. Every card, every letter I sent them during those desperate months, unopened. On top is a new note in Mom's handwriting. We should have read these. We should have listened. What are you going to do with them? Marissa asks. Use them. I place them carefully in my desk drawer. For the women's shelter. The shelter was my latest project, converting Scott's old house into a safe haven for abuse survivors. The irony isn't lost on anyone. My phone buzzes, a text from Mohammed. "Today's the day, ready?" Before I can respond, the doorbell rings. Taya checks the security camera and nods. They're here. I walk to the front door, opening it to reveal a group of women. All ages, all backgrounds, all carrying small bags and uncertain expressions. "Welcome to your temporary home," I say, stepping aside to let them in. "I'm Caitlin." One woman stops, recognition flooding her face. You wrote that viral post about your family." "Yes. And now I'm turning my brother's old house into your new beginning." They follow me through the connecting gate between the properties. The house has been transformed. Security systems installed, bedrooms furnished, kitchens stocked. A fresh start built on the ashes of my family's failures. "Each of you will have your own space," I explain, showing them around. "Plus access to counselling, job training, legal aid, everything I didn't have." "Why are you doing this?" another woman asks quietly. "Because success means nothing if we don't use it to help others survive." I hand out house keys. "And because sometimes the best revenge is making sure no one else goes through what you did." Back in my house, Marissa is setting up for a group coaching session. "Did you see the reviews for your book?" I glance at my phone. 5 stars across the board. The top comment reads, "This book saved my life. It gave me courage to leave." Speaking of courage, Taya points out my window. A familiar car pulls into my parents' driveway. Dad steps out, helping Mum carry groceries. They look older now, humbled. They pause when they see me watching, but don't wave or call out. Instead, Mum simply nods, a small gesture of respect, of understanding. "They're learning," Marissa observes. "They're trying," I correct her. "It's not the same thing." My laptop pings, an email from Reese. "Scott's in therapy, finally. Thank you for breaking what needed to be broken." The afternoon sun shifts, casting long shadows across both properties. In Scott's old house, my new shelter, I hear women laughing, perhaps for the first time in months, the sound of healing, of hope. "Your next coaching group is here," Taya announces. I walk into my living room where 12 women wait. Some I recognize from their viral social media responses to my story. Others found me through the shelter, all of them carrying wounds similar to mine. "Before we start," I say, taking my seat, "I want you to understand something. This isn't just about survival, it's about thriving. It's about building something so powerful that those who hurt you have to live in its shadow." "Like buying your brother's neighbour's house?" one woman asks with a slight smile. "Like turning pain into purpose," I reply. "Like making sure your rock bottom becomes someone else's stepping stone." Through the window, I watch the shelter residents exploring their new home. In my driveway, more women arrive for the evening support group. My phone buzzes with messages from others seeking help, seeking hope. This is what winning really looks like. Not the house or the money or the revenge, but the ripple effect of resilience. The power of turning "look what you did to me" into "look what I did despite you." I don't know if karma is real, but I do know this. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying those who hurt you. It's about building something so beautiful from the wreckage that they have to live with the weight of what they lost. And that's a revenge I can live with. I still remember the exact moment my parents destroyed me. It was May 15th, 2015, and I'd just walked across that stage as valedictorian of my business program. Full scholarship, 3 internship offers, and a 4.0 GPA that I'd bled for. My name is Jessica, and that day should have been the best of my life. The whole family gathered at Romano's afterward. My parents, my younger brother Nicholas, aunts, uncles, the works. Everyone kept congratulating me, saying how proud they must be. I was practically glowing, you know. 22 years old, and finally feeling like I'd proven myself worthy of their respect. "Speech! Speech!" Uncle Mike called out, raising his wine glass. I stood up, smoothing down my dress. "I just want to thank everyone for—" "Actually," Dad interrupted, standing and pulling out his phone. "Before we get too carried away with celebrations, Caroline and I have an announcement." Mum beamed beside him, that perfect smile she'd perfected over decades of charity galas and country club luncheons. "We're so proud of both our children today. Jessica's achievement is wonderful, of course, but we also want to celebrate Nicholas starting his journey into adulthood." My stomach dropped. Nicholas was 29 and had been starting his journey for about a decade. Dad cleared his throat dramatically. "Son, your mother and I have been talking. You've been working so hard to find your path, and we want to give you the foundation you need to really succeed." He pulled out his checkbook right there at the dinner table. The sound of the pen scratching across paper was deafening. $150,000, Dad announced, tearing off the check with a flourish, "to help you get started in life." The table erupted in cheers. Nicholas jumped up, pumping his fist like he'd just won the lottery, which I guess he had. "Holy shit!" Nicholas grabbed the check, eyes wide. "This is incredible. I can finally get that Porsche, maybe invest in some crypto—" "Language," Mum scolded, but she was still smiling. I sat there frozen, watching my brother wave around more money than I'd ever seen in my life. The same brother who'd dropped out of college twice, who'd been living in our parents' basement for 3 years, who'd never held a job for longer than 6 months. "Congratulations, honey," Aunt Sarah patted my hand. "Your turn will come." That snapped me out of it. "Actually," I said, my voice somehow steady, "I was hoping to talk to you both about a small business loan. I have this idea for a real estate development company, and with my internship connections—" Dad's laugh cut me off, sharp and dismissive. "Jessica, sweetheart, you just graduated. You need to focus on finding a nice job, maybe meeting someone special. You don't need to worry about all that business nonsense. But I have a solid business plan. I've already identified 3 properties that—" "What you need," Mum interrupted, her voice taking on that patronizing tone I knew so well, "is a ring, not a resume. You're 32, Jessica. Don't you think it's time to start thinking about what really matters?" The table had gone quiet. Everyone was staring at me, waiting to see what I'd say. "What really matters is building something meaningful," I said. "Creating jobs, developing communities." "Creating debt, you mean?" Dad shook his head. "Real estate is a man's game, Jessica. It requires connections, respect, authority, things that come naturally to men like Nicholas here." Nicholas was still grinning at his check, not even listening to the conversation that was dismantling my entire future. "I just need a small loan to get started," I pressed. "Maybe 20,000. I'll pay it back with interest." "Ah, absolutely not." Mum's voice was ice cold now. "We're not throwing good money after bad on some feminist fantasy. Nicholas has real potential. He just needs the right opportunity." I looked around the table. Not one person was meeting my eyes. My own family. And they were all just sitting there, letting this happen. "Congratulations on your graduation, dear," Mum said, like she was dismissing a servant. "Now, let's get back to celebrating Nicholas's good fortune." I excused myself to the bathroom and sat in my car in the parking lot for 2 hours, crying until my mascara ran in black rivers down my cheeks. Valedictorian, full scholarship, 3 job offers, and none of it mattered because I wasn't Nicholas. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Still want that startup to fly? Meet me tomorrow." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, "Who is this?" "Someone who believes in backing winners. Coffee at 9 a.m, Starbucks on 5th Street. I should have been scared, should have deleted the message and gone home to my studio apartment to lick my wounds. Instead, I felt something I hadn't felt all day. Hope. 3 months later, I was living out of my Honda Civic and showering at the gym. Turns out mysterious text messages don't always lead to fairy tale endings. The guy from Starbucks had been Eduardo, this quiet venture capitalist who spoke in whispers and wore $1,000 shoes. He'd listened to my pitch, nodded a lot, then handed me a business card and said he'd be in touch. Classic investor speak for "don't call us, we'll call you," except he actually did call. 2 weeks later with a modest seed investment, $50,000. Not life-changing money, but enough to rent a desk at a co-working space and buy a decent laptop. "You sure about this?" Penny asked, watching me pack up my studio apartment. My childhood best friend had married her college boyfriend right after graduation and was already pregnant with their second kid. "You could just get a normal job, Jess. There's no shame in that." "There's no shame in dreaming either," I said, shoving my clothes into garbage bags. That was 6 months ago. Now I was sitting in a 24-hour diner at 2 a.m., laptop open, surrounded by empty coffee cups and crumpled napkins covered in calculations. The waitress, Maria, had stopped asking if I wanted anything else around midnight. "You know you can't live here, right?" she said, refilling my cup for the 7th time. "I'm not living here, I'm working here." "Honey, you've been here every night this week. That's living here." My phone buzzed. A notification from Instagram. Nicholas had posted another photo. This time it was him leaning against a bright red Tesla, champagne bottle in hand, caption reading "Crypto Life, chose me, drum blessed moi, entrepreneur." I closed Instagram and opened my spreadsheet. 3 properties identified, 2 with serious potential, 1 that could be a game changer if I could just secure the financing. Eduardo had been encouraging but cautious about additional investment. "You need to show me more than potential," he'd said during our last meeting. "Show me results." The diner bell chimed, and I looked up to see a woman walking in. Tall, elegant, wearing a perfectly tailored coat despite the late hour. She looked around the nearly empty restaurant, spotted me, and walked straight over. "Jessica?" I nodded, suddenly aware of how I must look. 3-day-old clothes, hair in a messy bun, probably smelling like coffee and desperation. "I'm Sylvia, Eduardo sent me." She slid into the booth across from me without invitation. Up close she was even more striking. Sharp cheekbones, intelligent dark eyes, the kind of presence that made you sit up straighter. "He said you're the woman who's been camping out in co-working spaces and diners, building something from nothing." That's one way to put it. "What's another way?" I gestured at my laptop screen. "I'm 3 months away from closing on my first property flip, a duplex in the arts district that I can renovate and sell for double what I'm paying." "Show me." For the next hour, I walked her through everything: the market analysis, the renovation plans, the projected profits. She asked sharp questions, caught details I'd missed, pushed me on assumptions I'd taken for granted. "You're good at this," she said finally. "Good enough to succeed? Good enough to partner with." I blinked. "Partner? I run a development consulting firm, small but growing. I've been looking for someone with your vision and hunger." She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo of a sleek office space. "This could be yours, ours. You can't afford not to. Eduardo's willing to back us with real money if we team up. $750,000 to start." My heart stopped. $750,000? "That's just the beginning, but I need to know you're serious. No more living in your car, no more all-nighters at diners. This is professional level." I stared at her, trying to process what was happening. "Why me?" "Because Eduardo doesn't make mistakes, and because I've been watching you work for 3 weeks." "Watching me?" She smiled. "The co-working space has security cameras. You're there before anyone else arrives and after everyone leaves. You treat every phone call like it's make or break. You've turned down 2 job offers because you believe in what you're building." She leaned forward. "That's not desperation. That's dedication." My phone buzzed again. Another Nicholas post, this time from some expensive restaurant surrounded by bottles and friends. The caption, "When you're winning at life, thanks Mom and Dad for believing in me." I turned the phone face down. "What do you need from me?" I asked Sylvia. Meet me tomorrow at 10 a.m. Bring your business plan, your property analysis, and your appetite for real success. She stood up, left a 20 on the table for my coffee, and headed for the door. "Sylvia!" I called after her. She turned back. "Why are you really doing this?" Her smile was mysterious. "Because some of us have to prove them all wrong." After she left, I sat there staring at my reflection in the diner window. Tomorrow, everything would change. I could feel it. My phone lit up with a text from Eduardo. Just a thumbs up emoji, but somehow it felt like everything. 4 years later, I was standing in the lobby of my third office building, watching my team of 12 employees bustling around like they actually knew what they were doing, which they did because I'd hired the best. The Portland deal closed this morning. Marcus, my acquisitions manager, called out from across the room. Clean profit of $1.2 million. And the Seattle project? Groundbreaking next month. We're ahead of schedule and under budget. I nodded, trying to look calm while internally doing cartwheels. 3 states, 47 properties, and a company valuation that would make my parents choke on their morning coffee. Not that they'd know. We hadn't spoken in 4 years. "Jessica," Sylvia appeared at my elbow, tablet in hand. "The Phoenix investors want to move up the meeting. Can you do Thursday instead of Friday?" "Make it happen." She squeezed my shoulder briefly, a gesture that looked professional to anyone watching, but sent electricity through me. We'd been together for 3 years now, though nobody at work knew. Old habits die hard. My phone rang. Penny. "Hey, stranger," I answered, walking toward my office. "Don't hey, stranger me. I've been trying to reach you for weeks. Did you know your parents are in trouble?" I stopped walking. "What kind of trouble?" "Financial trouble. Big time. Tom heard it from his dad, who heard it from someone at the bank. Apparently Nicholas burned through that money years ago, and they've been bailing him out ever since." "How bad?" "Foreclosure bad. They refinanced the house twice to cover his debts. Something about crypto losses and tax problems." I sank into my desk chair. "When?" "The notice went out last week. Jessica, they're going to lose everything." After I hung up, I sat there staring at my computer screen. Forbes had just published an article about rising female entrepreneurs. My photo was on page 3, standing in front of our latest development project. Sylvia knocked and entered without waiting for permission. "You look like someone died." "My parents are losing their house." She raised an eyebrow. "The same parents who laughed at your business plan and told you to find a husband?" "The same ones. And you're upset about this because—" Before I could answer, my assistant buzzed in. "Jessica, you have a call on line 2. Says it's your mother." Sylvia and I looked at each other. 10 years of silence, and now this. "Put her through." "Jessica?" Mum's voice was smaller than I remembered, uncertain. "Hello, Caroline?" "Oh, honey, it's so good to hear your voice. How are you? We've been thinking about you so much lately." "Have you?" "Yes, of course. You're our daughter. We've missed you." I waited. "Listen, sweetheart, I was wondering if we could meet for lunch, catch up. It's been too long." "Why now?" "Can't a mother want to see her daughter?" "A mother can. I'm not sure about you." Silence stretched between us. "We're in a bit of a difficult situation," she said finally. "Nicholas has had some setbacks, and we've been trying to help him, but you need money. We need family. We need each other." I almost laughed. Where was family when I was sleeping in my car? Where was each other when I was building this company from nothing? "You were building a company?" Her voice pitched higher. "What kind of company?" "The kind that just closed a $1.2 million deal this morning." Dead silence. "Jessica, are you successful?" "Define successful." "Are you making good money?" "I'm making the kind of money that could solve your problems without blinking." I heard her sharp intake of breath. Could we meet, please, just lunch? Your father and I, we'd love to see you." Sylvia was watching me intently, her expression unreadable. "Fine," I said, "lunch." "Oh, wonderful. Where would you like to—" "I'll pick the place. I'll text you the details." "Jessica, before you go?" Yes. We're proud of you. We always have been. I hung up without responding. You're really going to do this? Sylvia asked. I'm really going to do this. Why? I pulled up the reservation system for the most exclusive restaurant in the city, the kind of place where lunch for 3 would cost more than most people's rent. Because some conversations are worth having in person, and if they ask for money, they will ask for money. And I looked at her, this brilliant woman who'd helped me build an empire from nothing, who'd believed in me when my own family wouldn't give me $20,000. Then I'll tell them exactly what their investment in me was worth. I made the reservation for 3 people, then changed it to 4. You're coming with me, I told Sylvia. Jessica, they need to meet my business partner. Her eyes widened slightly. Are you sure about that? I'm sure about everything now. I sent the text to my mother. Tomorrow, 1 p.m, Meridian Rooftop. Ask for the Ellis reservation. Her response came back immediately. We'll be there. Thank you, sweetheart. I showed Sylvia the message. Think they'll still call me sweetheart when they realise who you are? Only one way to find out. I arrived at Meridian Rooftop 15 minutes early, wearing a charcoal Armani suit that cost more than my parents' monthly mortgage payment. The hostess led me to the best table, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, white tablecloth, crystal glasses that caught the afternoon light. Your guests are here, she said, and I turned to see my parents walking toward me. They looked older, smaller somehow. Dad's hair had gone completely grey, and Mum's designer handbag was a knockoff. I could tell from across the room. But they were trying to maintain appearances, walking with that practiced confidence I remembered from childhood. Jessica! Mum's voice was bright, artificial. She moved to hug me, but I stepped back and gestured to the chairs instead. Please, sit. Dad pulled out Mum's chair, then sat down heavily. His eyes swept the restaurant, taking in the prices on the menu, the view, the obvious expense of it all. This is quite a place, he said. I thought you'd appreciate it. The waiter appeared immediately. Good afternoon. Can I start you with drinks? Champagne, I said. Your best bottle. Jessica, that's not necessary, Mum started. It's a celebration. We're family, right? Dad shifted uncomfortably. You look different. Successful, you mean? Well, yes, you've certainly made something of yourself. The champagne arrived. Dom Perignon, 2010. $400 a bottle. I watched my parents' faces as the waiter poured. So, Mum said, raising her glass with a shaky smile, tell us about this company of yours. Real estate development. We acquire undervalued properties, renovate them, and either flip or rent them out. Currently operating in 3 states with plans to expand to 5 by next year. How wonderful, she said, but her tone was the same one she'd used when I was 8 and showed her a crayon drawing. Our revenue last year was $12 million. Dad choked on his champagne. 12 million? Mum's voice cracked. Gross revenue? Net profit was about 4 million. They stared at me like I'd grown a second head. That's incredible, sweetheart. We had no idea you were doing so well. Why would you? You never asked. The waiter returned for our order. I ordered the lobster, market price, $68. My parents ordered salads. Jessica, Dad cleared his throat, we owe you an apology. For what specifically? For not supporting your dreams back then. We were wrong. Were you? Yes, obviously. Look at what you've accomplished. What I've accomplished without you. Mum reached across the table toward my hand. I pulled it back. We're family, she said. Family forgives. Family also supports each other. Family believes in each other. Family doesn't laugh when their daughter asks for help. We were protecting you. From what? Success? Dad leaned forward. We were scared, Jessica. Scared you'd fail and get hurt. Business is risky, especially for women. Especially for women? I set down my champagne glass harder than necessary. You gave Nicholas $150,000 to buy a sports car and play with cryptocurrency. That was different. How? He needed He's a man, just say it. Silence stretched between us. We need your help, Mum said finally. There it is. We're in a difficult situation. Nicholas had some bad investments and we tried to help him, but you refinanced your house, twice. Dad's face flushed. How did you? I know things. It's what successful people do. We're going to lose everything, Mum whispered. Everything? The house, our savings, everything we worked for. I nodded slowly. And you thought, what? That your daughter, the one you told to find a husband instead of starting a business, would just write you a cheque? We hoped. You hoped I'd be desperate enough for your approval to bail you out. That's not. It's exactly that. The food arrived. I cut into my lobster while they picked at their salads. I'll consider helping you, I said finally. Their faces lit up. But my business partner needs to approve any major financial decisions. Of course, Dad said quickly. When can we meet him? Her, and she's actually joining us. Mum's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Her? She should be here any minute. As if on cue, the double doors to the restaurant opened. Sylvia walked in, wearing a navy blue power suit, her hair pulled back in a sleek bun, looking every inch the CEO she was. She moved with the kind of confidence that made people step aside. She spotted our table and walked over, her heels clicking against the marble floor. Sorry I'm late, she said, leaning down to kiss my cheek, a gesture that could be read as professional or personal, depending on who was watching. Mum had gone completely pale. Mum, Dad, I said, standing up, I'd like you to meet Sylvia, my business partner. And my girlfriend, I didn't add, but from the look on my mother's face, she'd already figured it out. Sylvia, I continued, meet my parents. Sylvia extended her hand with a perfect smile. It's such a pleasure to finally meet you both. Jessica talks about you all the time. The lie hung in the air like expensive perfume. Dad stood up awkwardly and shook Sylvia's hand. Mum remained seated, staring at her salad like it held the secrets of the universe. Please sit, I said to Sylvia, pulling out the chair beside me. Thank you. Sylvia settled in gracefully, immediately commanding the space. I hope I haven't interrupted anything important. We were just discussing my parents' financial situation. Ah, yes, Jessica mentioned you might need some assistance. Sylvia's voice was professionally warm, but with an edge that could cut glass. She's told me so much about your family over the years. Mum finally looked up. Has she? Oh, yes, especially about your reaction when she came out in high school. The temperature at the table dropped 20 degrees. I remembered that night like it was yesterday. I was 17, sitting in our living room, hands shaking as I told Mum about Sylvia, my first girlfriend, the girl I was head over heels in love with. Mum, there's something I need to tell you. I'm seeing someone. That's wonderful, honey. What's his name? Her name is Sylvia. The silence that followed was deafening. Then Mum's face twisted into something I'd never seen before. No, absolutely not. This is just a phase. It's not a phase. You're confused. Teenagers get confused about these things. I'm not confused. I love her. Don't you dare say that word, Mum had screamed, standing up so fast her wine glass shattered on the floor. This is disgusting. This is wrong. You're sick, Jessica. You need help. I tried to explain, tried to make her understand, but she'd stormed upstairs. The next morning, I found a photo of Sylvia and me from prom, the one where we were laughing, her corsage matching my dress, burned to ashes in the fireplace. We don't discuss that, Mum said now, her voice barely above a whisper. Don't discuss what? Sylvia asked innocently. The part where you told your daughter she was sick, or the part where you burned our prom photo? Dad's face went red. Now see here. No, you see here. Sylvia's professional mask slipped for just a moment, revealing steel underneath. Your daughter built a multi-million-dollar empire from nothing. She's brilliant, successful and kind, and you treated her like garbage because she fell in love with a woman. We were different people then, Mum started. You were the same people. You just needed something from her now. The waiter appeared, sensing the tension. "Is everything all right here?" "Perfect," I said. "Could you bring us the dessert menu?" After he left, Sylvia opened her tablet. "Now, about your financial situation." Jessica filled me in on the basics. Foreclosure proceedings, multiple refinances, approximately 300,000 in debt. Dad nodded miserably. "And this all stems from supporting your son's various business ventures?" "Nicholas had some bad luck." "Nicholas had a gambling problem and a cocaine habit," I said flatly. "Don't sugarcoat it." Mum gasped. "How did you—" "I told you, I know things." Sylvia swiped through her tablet. "We've prepared an assistance package for your consideration." She turned the screen toward them. It showed a contract with official letterhead. "This is a rental agreement for temporary housing in one of our urban shelter networks. Clean, safe, fully furnished. You'll have access to job placement services and financial counselling." Dad squinted at the screen. "Shelter network?" "We own several facilities that provide transitional housing for families in crisis. It's actually quite nice, much better than what most people imagine when they hear shelter." "You want us to live in a homeless shelter?" Mum's voice was horrified. "You want us to live in your homeless shelter?" I corrected. "The same kind of facility you said would never work when I pitched the idea to you 4 years ago." "Jessica?" "The same business model you called throwing good money after bad." Sylvia slid a prepaid debit card across the table. "There's also this, $1,000 for immediate expenses. Food, clothing, whatever you need to get back on your feet." Dad picked up the card like it might bite him. $1,000? "It's what we can spare right now," Sylvia said smoothly. "Business has been challenging lately." That was a lie. We'd made more than $1,000 in the time it took to order lunch. "But Jessica said you made $12 million last year," Mum protested. "Gross revenue," Sylvia corrected, "after expenses, taxes, employee salaries, equipment costs, expansion investments. Well, cash flow is always tight in development." Another lie. Our cash reserves could buy their house 3 times over. "This is insulting," Dad said, standing up abruptly. "We're your parents, Jessica. We raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head," and told me I was sick for loving someone, and laughed at my dreams, and gave my brother enough money to buy a house while telling me to find a husband. "We made mistakes. You made choices. This is mine." Mum was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. "Please, Jessica, we're sorry. We're so sorry." "I know you are. You're sorry you need me now." The restaurant had gone quiet around us. Other diners were pretending not to watch while obviously listening to every word. "Take the offer," I said, standing up. "It's more than you gave me when I needed help." "Jessica, wait!" Dad reached for my arm. I stepped back. "I built every brick of that shelter with no help from the people who should have stood beside me. Now you get to live in it." "You're being vindictive," he said. "No, I'm being fair." That's when the restaurant doors burst open and Nicholas stumbled in, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His clothes were wrinkled, his hair greasy, and he had that desperate look of someone who'd lost everything. "There you are," he shouted, pointing at me. "Mum said you were here. Where's the money you promised them?" Every head in the restaurant turned toward us. "I didn't promise them anything," I said calmly. "Bullshit. They said you were loaded, that you'd help us out. So where is it?" He was making a scene, and I could see the manager heading our way. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to lower your voice," the manager said. "Don't tell me what to do." Nicholas spun around wildly. "My sister's got millions, and she's letting our parents live on the street." "That's enough," Sylvia said, standing up. "And who the hell are you?" "I'm the person who's about to have security escort you out." Nicholas looked between us, his eyes finally focusing on how close Sylvia and I were standing. "Oh, I get it now," he said with a nasty smile. "Still playing house with your little girlfriend, Jess." The words hung in the air like a slap. The entire restaurant went dead silent. Even the kitchen noise stopped. "Nicola," Mum hissed, "sit down." "No, I'm tired of this bullshit." He swayed slightly, and I could smell alcohol on him from 6 feet away. You all act like Jessica's some kind of saint, but she's been living in sin for years while we've been struggling." "Living in sin?" I laughed, but there was no humour in it. "Is that what we're calling love now? It's not natural. What's not natural is a 29-year-old man living in his parents' basement while they refinance their house to pay for his mistakes." Nicholas's face went purple. "At least I'm not some dyke who—" Sylvia moved faster than I'd ever seen her move. She was in Nicholas's face before he could finish the sentence. "Finish that word," she said quietly. "I dare you." The manager appeared with 2 security guards. "I'm going to have to ask all of you to leave." "We're leaving," I said, pulling out my black Amex. "Check, please." "Jessica, please," Dad said, grabbing my wrist. "Don't do this. We're family." I looked down at his hand on my arm, then back up at his face. Family doesn't abandon each other. Family doesn't call each other sick. Family doesn't choose favourites based on what's between their legs. We were wrong. You were wrong about everything. I pulled my arm free. You were wrong about my business. You were wrong about my relationship. You were wrong about Nicholas. And you were wrong about me. The cheque arrived. $347. I left a $100 tip. "You want to know the really funny part?" I said, standing up and smoothing down my jacket. "I didn't just build this company from nothing. I built it specifically to prove you wrong." "What do you mean?" Mum asked. "I mean every property I bought, every deal I closed, every employee I hired, I did it all thinking about this moment. The moment when you'd need me and I could choose whether or not to help." Nicholas snorted. "So what? You're going to leave us homeless out of spite?" "I'm not leaving you homeless. I offered you housing." "A shelter?" "The same shelter system you mocked when I pitched it. The same bleeding heart liberal nonsense Dad said would never work." I pulled out my phone and showed them a photo of the newest facility, clean, modern, dignified. 47 families housed so far this year, job placement rate of 83%, but you're right, Nicholas, it's probably too good for you. "Jessica," Mum stood up, her voice breaking, "please, we're begging you." "Like I begged you for $20,000 to start my company." "That was different." "How? How was it different?" She couldn't answer. "I'll tell you how it was different. You had the money then. You chose not to help me. I have the money now. I'm choosing not to help you." "But we're your parents." Dad slammed his hand on the table, making the glasses jump. "And I was your daughter. Where was that loyalty when I needed it?" The security guards stepped closer. "Folks, we really need you to take this outside." "Actually," I said, "there's one more thing you should know." I pulled out my phone and opened the real estate app, typed in their old address. "Remember your house? The one you're about to lose?" They nodded. "I bought it." The colour drained from all 3 of their faces. "What?" Mum whispered. "At auction, last week. I'm the new owner." Nicholas started laughing, but it was the kind of laugh that comes right before a breakdown. "You bought our house, our childhood home?" "I bought an investment property. It happens to be the house where I grew up being told I wasn't good enough." "What are you going to do with it?" Dad asked. "Flip it, renovate the kitchen, update the bathrooms, maybe add a deck. Should sell for about twice what I paid." "You can't do this," Mum said. "It's our home." "It was your home. Now it's my investment." Sylvia touched my elbow gently. "We should go." She was right. This had gone far enough. "The offer stands," I told my parents. "Temporary housing, job placement services, and $1,000. It's more than you gave me when I was sleeping in my car." "Jessica, please." Mum reached for me again. I stepped back. "You made your choices. These are the consequences." "You're vindictive," Dad said, his voice full of disgust. "You're cruel and vindictive." "No," I said, walking toward the exit. "I'm a reflection of your investment." As we reached the door, Nicholas shouted after us, "You think you're so much better than us, but you're still the same sick little girl who—" Sylvia spun around. "Security, please escort that man out. He's clearly intoxicated and disturbing other guests." The guards moved toward Nicholas immediately. Outside on the sidewalk, I took a deep breath of fresh air. My hands were shaking slightly, but I felt oddly calm. "You okay?" Sylvia asked. "I think so." "That was brutal." "It needed to be." She took my hand, right there on the busy sidewalk where anyone could see. "You've done it. You proved your point." I looked back at the restaurant, where I could see my family through the windows, still arguing with security. "Yeah," I said, "I have." But as we walked to the car, Sylvia squeezed my hand and asked quietly, "Was it enough?" I didn't answer because I wasn't sure I knew. We made it halfway to the parking garage before my phone started ringing. Mum's contact photo filled the screen, a picture from my college graduation that I'd never bothered to delete. "Don't answer it," Sylvia said. I declined the call. It immediately started ringing again. "Jessica, please," Mum's voicemail said when I finally listened to it. "Come back. We can work this out. We're family." The third voicemail was Dad. "You're making a mistake. This anger will eat you alive." The fourth was Nicholas. "You selfish bitch, I hope you're happy." I deleted them all. "Want to go home?" Sylvia asked as we reached the car. "Actually, let's go see the house." "Your parents' house. My investment property." The drive took 20 minutes. I hadn't been to my childhood neighbourhood in over a decade, but nothing had changed much. Same tree-lined streets, same manicured lawns, same sense of suburban perfection that had always felt like a cage. We pulled up to 847 Maple Street. The house looked smaller than I remembered, but still solid. Good bones, as we said in the business. The lawn needed work and there was a foreclosure notice taped to the front door. "Nice curb appeal," Sylvia said. "What are you thinking? Full renovation or just cosmetic updates?" "Full renovation. Gut the kitchen, open up the living space, maybe add a master suite upstairs." "Smart. This neighbourhood's gentrifying fast." I got out of the car and walked up the front steps. The key was hidden in the same fake rock where it had been when I was 16. Some things never change. "You sure about this?" Sylvia asked. I unlocked the front door and stepped inside. The smell hit me first, that specific combination of my mother's vanilla candles and my father's pipe tobacco. The living room looked exactly the same. Same couch, same coffee table, same family photos on the mantel, photos that didn't include me. I walked over to examine them. Nicholas's high school graduation, Nicholas's college graduation, Nicholas with various girlfriends at various family events, Christmas mornings, birthday parties, vacation photos, 10 years of family memories, and I wasn't in a single one. "Jesus," Sylvia said, looking over my shoulder, "it's like you never existed." Maybe I didn't, not to them. My phone rang again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. "Hello? Jessica, it's your father. I'm calling from Nicholas's phone." "What do you want?" "We're outside." I looked out the front window. Sure enough, my parents' old Honda was parked across the street. I could see 3 figures inside. "We want to talk," Dad continued. "Face to face, no more games." "I'm not playing games." "Then prove it. Come outside." I hung up and looked at Sylvia. They followed us. Of course they did. We walked outside together. My parents got out of the car slowly, like they were approaching a crime scene. Nicholas stayed in the back seat, slumped against the window. "This is our home," Mum said, her voice breaking. "You can't just take it away from us." "I didn't take it. You lost it. I bought it." "It's the same thing." "No, it's not. Taking would be if I'd stolen it. Buying is what happens when you can't pay your mortgage." Dad stepped forward. "What do you want from us? An apology?" "You have it. We're sorry. We were wrong about everything." "Are you?" "Yes." "Then why did it take you losing everything to figure that out?" "Because we're human. We make mistakes." "Mistakes are forgetting to call on someone's birthday. This was 10 years of deliberate choices." Mum was crying again. "Please, Jessica, we'll do anything. We'll go to therapy. We'll make amends. You'll what? Accept me, love me unconditionally, treat me like your daughter instead of your disappointment?" "Yes." "Because you need money." "Because we love you," I laughed, and it came out harsh and bitter. You love what I can do for you now. You love my bank account. You love that I'm successful enough to solve your problems. That's not true. Then where was this love when I was sleeping in my car? Where was it when I was working 18-hour days to build something from nothing? Silence. I'll tell you where it was. It was focused on Nicholas, on your golden boy who could do no wrong. We were protecting him. From what? Consequences? Reality? Responsibility? Dad's face was red with anger and shame. We did our best. Your best wasn't good enough. So what now? He demanded. You're going to destroy us? Ruin our lives out of spite? I'm not destroying anything. I'm just not saving you. It's the same thing. No, Dad, it's really not. Sylvia stepped closer to me. We should go. Wait, Mum said desperately. The shelter, the housing you offered, we'll take it. I pulled out my phone and opened my contacts. I'll have someone from our housing department call you tomorrow. They'll walk you through the intake process. Intake process? Background checks, financial counselling, job placement assessment, standard procedure. You're treating us like charity cases, Dad said. You are charity cases. The words hung in the air like a physical blow. This is your karma, I said finally. Spend it wisely. As we walked back to the car, Mum called out one last time. Jessica, please, we're your family. I turned around. No, you're people I used to know who happen to share my DNA. Family is what Sylvia and I built together. Family is what my employees and I created. Family shows up when you need them. We're here now. You're here now because you need me. There's a difference. I got in the car and started the engine. In the rearview mirror, I watched my parents standing in front of the house where I'd grown up, looking lost and broken. I should have felt victorious. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt nothing at all. You okay? Sylvia asked as we drove away. I think so. You don't sound sure. I wasn't sure. I'd spent 10 years building toward this moment, and now that it was here, it felt hollow, empty, like winning a game nobody else wanted to play. Let's go home, I said. Our home. Yeah, our home. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Word travels fast in small social circles, and apparently our restaurant scene had made quite an impression. Your phone's been buzzing all night, Sylvia said, handing me coffee in bed. I scrolled through the messages. Half were from business contacts who'd heard rumours. The other half were from extended family members I hadn't spoken to in years, suddenly very interested in reconnecting. Vultures, I muttered. Speaking of which, your assistant called. You have that Women's Entrepreneur Conference today, the keynote speech. I'd completely forgotten. Can we cancel? You could, or you could use it. Use it how? Tell your story, the real story. 3 hours later, I was standing backstage at the Riverside Convention Centre, looking out at an audience of 300 women. Entrepreneurs, executives, students, dreamers, all of them looking for something. Inspiration, validation, proof that it was possible to succeed despite the odds. Ladies and gentlemen, the moderator announced, please welcome Jessica, CEO of Meridian Development Group. I walked onto the stage to polite applause. The spotlight was blinding, but I could see faces in the front rows. Young women with notebooks, older women with knowing smiles, a few men scattered throughout who looked like they were there to support wives or daughters. Good morning, I said into the microphone. I want to tell you about the day my family destroyed me and how I used the pieces to build an empire. The room went completely silent. I was 22, valedictorian of my business program, and I had a dream. I wanted to start a real estate development company focused on affordable housing. I needed $20,000 to get started. I paused, scanning the audience. My parents laughed at me. They told me I needed a ring, not a resume. Then they wrote my younger brother a check for $150,000 to find his path. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. That night I made a choice. I could let their rejection define me, or I could let it fuel me. I chose fuel. For the next 20 minutes, I told them everything. Living in my car, the mysterious text from Eduardo, meeting Sylvia, building the company from nothing. I told them about the foreclosure, the lunch, the confrontation. Yesterday, my parents asked me for help. They're losing their house, the same house where they told me I was sick for loving a woman, the same house where they celebrated my brother's mediocrity while dismissing my achievements. The audience was completely captivated now. I offered them temporary housing in one of our shelter facilities, the same type of facility they once called a waste of money. They called it insulting. A woman in the third row shook her head in disgust. Here's what I learned. Revenge tastes exactly like you think it will. Sweet for about 5 minutes, then bitter as hell. Because at the end of the day, proving people wrong doesn't heal the wounds they gave you. It just gives you new scars. I looked directly at a young woman in the front row who was furiously taking notes. But building something meaningful, creating jobs, housing families, proving that your vision was right all along, that's not revenge, that's justice. The applause started slowly, then built to a roar. They told me to find a man. Instead, I found a woman who helped me build the world. They told me business was a man's game. We're about to close our biggest deal yet, a $50 million mixed-use development that will house 200 families. Standing ovation. And guess what happened this morning? I grinned. My brother sent me a LinkedIn message asking if I could recommend him for a job. The circle's complete. The laughter was warm, cathartic. After the speech, women surrounded me with questions, business cards, stories of their own family struggles. A college student asked for my autograph. A grandmother told me I reminded her of herself at my age. "That was incredible," Sylvia said when we finally escaped to the parking lot. It felt good to tell the truth. All of it. Most of it. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Saw your speech online. I'm proud of you, Eduardo." Then another text, this one from Nicholas. "Hey sis, saw your speech. Could we talk? I think I owe you an apology. Also, are you hiring?" I showed Sylvia the message. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to think about it. Maybe people can change. Maybe second chances aren't always wasted." "And your parents?" "They're adults. They'll figure it out." We drove home in comfortable silence, past the construction site of our newest development. Families would live there soon. Kids would grow up there, dream there, maybe even get rejected by their parents there. But they'd also have a safe place to land while they figured out how to fly. "You know what the best part is?" I said as we pulled into our driveway. "What?" "I didn't need their approval to succeed. I just needed their rejection to get started." Sylvia laughed. "Should we put that on a motivational poster?" "Absolutely, right next to 'Built Without You' in gold letters." "I love you," she said. "I love you too." And for the first time in 10 years, that felt like enough.